gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Friday night here in Porchville. How you doing? PorchvillePod.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can find us on all those spots. Wherever you download your podcast, go over there, hit subscribe. Let us know how we're doing. Show us some love. And let us know. I don't fucking know. I'm here with Chris Massey, my boy.
What do I do before I say a fucking word? I spike the mic. I do lots and lots of audio recording, guys, you know.
Chris is back.
I'm an expert.
Welcome back, man. Thank you for this is your first time here.
Yeah, my first time in Gainesville in almost 6 years.
Is it really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It was January of 2015.
You did a Zoom show with us.
Yeah.
And
it worked other than the part where I was talking about Tara Reid and you guys muted me because I was talking, I don't know, I heard you guys like filth on this show, but apparently that's a new phenomenon.
Last week was last week was a little weird. Matt's not here this week because he sent a grandmother his testicles and
like his actual testicles or just a photo?
Well,
of them?
a picture.
Okay.
So they've eloped. They're in Vegas on their honeymoon. We'll expect him back next week.
Tying the balloon knot.
Yeah, we're wishing the happy couple well. We'll see him next week.
Just ignore that I said that, please.
So we're hanging out, me and Chris, and like I said, you did the Zoom show. And I was really glad when you said, "Hey, I'm coming to Gainesville. We're going to do this thing live right there on the porch,
face to face, man. It's better that way.
Better.
I mean,
it's always
we
better.
got some crickets from my place. We got some crickets from your place before, but this is better.
It's a porch.
Yeah,
we are literally on the porch.
Hey, I had to be in the spirit of it last time. I was on my porch.
Exactly.
So it was great.
Exactly.
You got the screen house, which is awesome. I have a bat house.
No shit. You got a bat house?
Yeah, totally.
At your place?
Yeah. I have a 60, 70-foot pine tree in my backyard.
Really?
And I went up 20 feet on it. I bought a thing on Amazon. I stained it so that it would, survive in the elements. Yeah. And I have like these little bats that are about the size of not your thumbnail, but your top knuckle on your thumb. And they fly around. You hear them like flitting around and swooping like right at dusk. You can see them zipping around, eating up flies and mosquitoes and stuff. And man, I can sit out in my backyard, no screen house, nothing like this, and not get a single bite on me. I could sit out there for hours.
So now Katie was asking me about the other day. She said we should get a bat house.
Dude, you live in a fucking swamp. You absolutely need a bat house.
Well, but I was thinking, don't they like if I get a bat house, aren't they going to grow? I mean, aren't the population going to grow? Or?
Oh yeah, and I mean, like the bat house will hold like 200 bats, but they're all these tiny ass little things that are never going to come anywhere near you. Yeah. And because
you remember when the bat house at UF collapsed because there was too many fucking bats in it?
Yeah, like, those are big bats.
Okay.
Like, yeah, those are these are they weigh less than an ounce.
So if I just put a bat house out there, they're just going to show up?
Yeah, well, you got to find a place where there's some sun. Because you want it to be warm.
Oh, okay.
Although when it's cold here, it doesn't matter all that much because they're not. When it's 45 degrees in Gainesville, there are no mosquitoes anyway.
Right.
But yeah, your neighborhood is kind of shady. So and I mean, yeah, I mean that in the sense that there are a lot of goddamn trees. Only the residents of this house are shady.
That's right.
In fact, I Google Maps my way here, and it said an asshole lives here.
That's right. I'm convinced we're the asshole of the neighborhood. I'm certain of that.
Well, you weren't the ones firing a gun a little while ago.
That's true. That's true. So, I don't know who that was.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not the worst. There's definitely some shady characters around this place, though. Especially now. What are we drinking here? What am I drinking? This is
okay. I brought some serious shit here.
Yes,
today.
you did. Yes, you did. Tell me what I'm drinking. This is the first one.
This is
the coffee one.
I don't know if it's Nika or Nika. I'm not that cool, but maybe it's that.
Nika.
It's Japanese coffee grain whiskey, and coffee is like a coffee still, not like a cup of coffee.
Right.
And it's
pull that mic in just a little bit.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all good.
Like I said, I'm not used to having something this shape this close to my mouth the way that you are.
Cool. Welcome to Porchville.
But yeah, this shit is I found this a couple years ago when I was in San Francisco. I needed something really upscale to bring to visit my aunt and uncle, who are two of the most awesome people that you'll ever meet. But I was spending the weekend with them, and
it's delicious.
This shit, it is smooth. It is. It's got enough of a bite that you know it's there. It's not like you're drinking, very expensive water, right. But it's just awesome. And right now, I am drinking Penderyn. That's Penderyn single malt Welsh whiskey, which has a Madeira finish. And basically, it's like if Jameson put on a pearl necklace and some long white gloves. It's fancy, beautiful. but it's kind of in that same vein, sort of a light, easy to drink, whiskey. They're both great, and they're not real cheap. But I figured this was a fun time to go a little fancy. I mean, that's why
it's been a while, man. I haven't seen you since.
Well, hold on just a minute. I just want everyone to know that I am wearing a pearl necklace and long white gloves.
It's exquisite. It's exquisite.
And this T-shirt. I don't know.
It goes well with the T-shirt. It goes well with the T-shirt. Let's eat trash and get hit by a car. That's pretty much my 20s right there.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I saw this shirt online and I'm like, I have to own that. And if anyone cared what I thought about things, I'd say tpublic.com because this shirt is fucking awesome. It's got
is that where it came from? tpublic.com?
Yeah, it's got a possum on it. And let's eat trash and get hit by a car, which definitely feels like most of my nights partying in my 20s.
So, for people who don't know, we've known each other about almost 20 years.
More than 20 now.
Is it?
21.
Oh, is it?
1999. Yeah. 98 or 99.
No, because I came up later. Well, no, that's right. I did come to visit.
You came up in 99.
I came up to visit. That's right.
You were living in Murphy. Was it Murphy?
Yes.
Yeah, you were living in Murphy.
You
were crashing. You were squatting in Murphy in 1999.
What a fucking grand time!
That's when you got teabagged.
That's when I got teabagged.
The first. I don't even want to say first. It's the first verifiable one.
Yeah.
First, where I knew the person who did it to you, people who did it to you. I'm saying it was a revolving door, really.
Hey, I mean, what can I say? I have nice lips.
They were working that thing in the back of his throat like a speed bag, like Rocky, just boom, 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 boom. See, I heard last week, and I'm like, how did I miss out on all the filth? I had to bring some of my own.
It got a little wild. It got off the rails really fast. And the funny thing about it is, though, the sick bastards that are Porchvillians just seem to love it because everywhere that I've put it, it's been one of the highest listened to and rated and downloaded episodes thus far. So
that's great.
Thank you very much, you disturbed bastards. I appreciate every
Hey,
single fucking beautiful one of you.
I knew that these were my people.
Yes,
I did. I could tell.
Yes. And actually,
disgusting pigs unite.
I was even told I need to have one of those. At least one of those episodes every month. So,
oh wow!
So that's a tall order. I'm not sure. You can't recreate that though.
What did Chris Hardwick call those when he would do them with Matt Myra and Jonah Ray? They call them hostful.
Hostful
podcasts where they didn't have a guest. It was just him and two of his buddies like bullshitting. And there's some magic in some.
We usually call them porch night episodes.
Yeah, it's the same idea.
But because that's where
it's the original
came from. But this, I just had a feeling about it that it was going to be a shit show. I told Matt before. He said, "What's the plan?" I said, "It's going to be a shit show."
When you get your balls waxed right before the show starts,
yeah.
Yeah,
I think from now on I'm going to have to, just in case I have to send pictures to some grandma somewhere.
Hey, you want to see some veiny eggs?
So we go back a ways, and we
haven't grown up.
No, certainly not. Why would we want to do that?
Grown out mostly.
Grown grayer, grown out. Jesus. But I've always known you to be somebody who has you know what the fuck's going on. You don't have your head in the clouds. You don't have your head stuck anywhere it shouldn't be. You know?
No.
I've always known you to be
not without reasonable compensation.
A good rational dude. You know, a rational human being. And we've had some great conversations about, you know, rational ideas and thoughts over the years. And, you know, like, that's why I wanted to have you come on the show again, you know, because there's so much, like, crazy shit going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
That, man, having, like, calm, rational, cool, you know, thought-provoking conversations with your friends.
Let's say cool-headed, because no one would mistake me for cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying just a cool chat, you know?
Yeah.
Between pals. And I just feel like there's so... shit just goes off the rails nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like predetermined. It's going to go off the rails more times than it's going to just stay civil. And I actually saw something today. I was scrolling through Facebook, and I went to the fucking comment section for some damn reason of some article.
Sometimes you just got to stick your feet in the mud.
Yeah. But there was a story about a person, a guy who fathered a child and then committed unspeakable acts and ultimately ended up killing the child. And,
Jesus.
Somebody commented how sad it was. They said, it's so sad. And then they said, that man's life is over. And like I looked at the picture. It was like a little old lady,
too far.
You know.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like she was sympathizing just with the guy.
No.
Like I thought she said it's so sad. That guy's life is over, or his life is over is what she said, I think.
Look, if you're a dad and you accidentally, for example, forget and leave a kid in a hot car.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's negligence and that's terrible and it's tragedy everywhere, but that's someone you go, oh,
yeah,
gosh, his whole life is over and he's got to live with this whole thing.
Yeah.
Where somebody who does unspeakable things, I got no sympathy for you.
I didn't take it though in a sense that she had sympathy for the person. I took it in a sense of like, I mean, it is. That's true. Mm-hmm. It's just that guy's life is over, and he's probably going to go to prison, and he's probably going to incur some horrific acts in prison.
Good,
thankfully. But either way,
I'm not big on the retributive aspect of our penal system. I don't believe it works. I don't think it.
Yeah.
I don't think putting a bunch of animals together and having them treat each other like animals reflects particularly well on us, or provides the rehabilitative experience that we're pretending that we're delivering, so that when these people come out, they can come back and be something.
You are 100% right.
Too many people are interested in punishment.
Yeah.
And not fixing people.
Yeah. This person in particular, he's a pedophile.
There's not a lot of fixing that, unfortunately. The research is pretty clear on that.
Tell that to California.
Yeah, you can.
Cali, what's up? But but what I took it as was just this person saying, hey, that guy's life's over. This is a sad situation. Yeah. Period. This guy's life is also over. Period. It's two different statements, two different sentences. Mm-hmm. Just I tend not to. I didn't look at it as though this person was just intentionally trying to be an absolute, pile of shit.
Yeah.
That wasn't my first reaction. It wasn't my gut reaction. But apparently it was the gut reaction of like 30 other people, because they were like, how about the, it was like, man, how about like benefit of the doubt, man? Maybe that's not what that lady was saying.
Yeah.
Maybe
not everyone's a great writer.
Yeah. So, and I don't know. I just the reaction of people like that, there's no time for civil discourse anymore. It's all just hatred and anger, and it's bullshit, and fuck all that.
Everybody wants to jump up everyone else's ass. And get in that ass, Larry.
I don't have time for it. It literally,
eat a candy bar, throw it away.
It's a waste of my time. When I click on a link or a notification on my phone and it takes me to some just bullshit, it's a waste of my fucking life. I just wasted my life reading your fucking hatred. Fuck you.
Well,
Fuck
come
you
on.
for making me read it.
Only one side hates. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too deep into that because, man, that is a deep well.
Oh.
But the truth is, everybody, it seems like, is just looking for an opportunity to be upset about something.
Yes.
And the truth is, we just, all of us, and I'm going to include myself, and I don't know about you, but we want stimulation. Like, we're on Facebook, and not everyone does this. There are plenty of people who don't give a shit about the world of Twitter or the world of Facebook or whatever, Reddit. But there are people who just want to find something that gets a rise out of it. It's like blood sport. You know, you just want to watch somebody bleed.
Yeah.
I was reading a great article in the Ringer about Reddit's AITA. Am I the asshole? Have you ever heard of those?
No. Oh, yes.
Yeah, because they get syndicated. Like,
and they post questions up there. Just,
Hey, my girlfriend. I read an interesting one where these two fucking nerds met on Skyrim.
Yeah.
And Skyrim's a video game, if you don't know. For an engagement, instead of getting this girl a ring, this guy gets her like a replica of some basically engagement ring thing from Skyrim.
Of course he does.
Because he's a big fucking nerd. And
that's where they met, you said.
Yeah. They met online.
They met on the game.
Yeah, they met online playing.
That makes sense then.
Well, yeah, it does, except that she, after the fact, she reacted at the time nicely. She came back a couple days later, and she's like, I love this. I really appreciate it, but I really do want a ring. And he basically says, I don't got to buy you a ring. I already bought you a fucking necklace. That should be enough. And so the question is, am I the asshole?
Well, I didn't know that it was a necklace. I assumed it was
it wasn't a ring.
Some sort of ring, like Lord of the Rings style kind of shit.
No.
The fact that it was not a ring, I mean, that's tough.
Well,
but she's still, come on.
I don't know, like,
I actually just learned that engagement rings were only recently a thing because of De Beers, I believe it is, decided that they were going to corner the market on fucking diamonds and then come up with this engagement ring diamond, and they put out this whole ad campaign about if you really love your
2
woman,
months salary.
You'll buy her a diamond.
2 months salary.
Yeah, and so it wasn't even a fucking thing before then. It's all goddamn. You're just being duped.
Yeah,
made to buy goddamn. I spent $300. $300
well,
on
you didn't have any
ring.
money then.
That's right. I was dirt fucking poor. And I scraped together the $300 and that was it.
Yeah, well,
and now when she wears it, it turns her finger green. And no, I'm just kidding. It wasn't that bad. It was actually real at least, but I think it was. That's what
it was a very convincing forgery if it wasn't.
That's what the guy behind Denny's told me.
Yeah. But there's some layers to that story, and I thought it was really interesting. And the Ringer, like, goes into this whole thing about people love the spectacle of it. They love being able to weigh in and make a moral judgment that's kind of low stakes and doesn't really, but that same instinct is fed in all the other places of the internet. Like,
that's
you
why
go
people
anywhere
want
else.
a dislike button on Facebook because they just want to fucking hate, but they don't want to say their shit.
No, see,
they just want to fucking dislike. Dislike you cocksucker.
Every rare once in a while that I want to weigh in on something about how I dislike it. Usually, what I do instead is I post that little GIF, and I say GIF by the way because I'm old enough to remember when everyone said that instead of GIF.
Is that how we're pronouncing it now? GIF?
Someone decided that was grammatically accurate. It's like the people on ESPN deciding that RBIs should be RBI because it's runs batted in. I'm like, well, buddy, we still call them POWs, which are prisoners of war. So
it's going to be ribbies or whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, they decided that it's GIF, not GIF, because it's a hard G. Well, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is it's a GIF. See? I just programmed myself. I just inceptioned myself. But no, this GIF of Bugs Bunny making this really big theatrical yawn. Yeah. And I just post that, and I have nothing else to say, and that is immensely satisfying.
I'll admit, I have found. The other day there was a lady who was going off on Trump, and I posted there was a fake. Everybody's hating on me, but I didn't see anybody else helping Kevin in the lobby, or helping Kevin find the lobby, the from Home Alone 2 or whatever. And that's been my new favorite, just sort of go to. I'm here to fuck with you kind of thing, because man, everybody's so riled up. Everybody's so fucking quick to the punch, quick to be angry.
Well, it's great. Every once in a while, you get someone who's like, Chris, what do you mean by that? Like they'll reply to it. It's like, I mean, yawn. I mean, it's not a yawn like, oh gosh, I'm so tired. It's a yawn like, you are incredibly tiresome.
Yeah.
You are not worth my trouble, but you should know that you're not worth my trouble. Yeah.
Well,
this is no trouble.
Why do you think people are so? What do you think is the chief reason? Why do you think people are so fucking keyed up these days?
Well, there's a lot to be stressed out about. You know, like for real. You can't argue and say, oh, what do you got to worry about? There are people, I've been very fortunate. You've been very fortunate. Yes. Our jobs still exist.
1,000% yes.
We are not in any particular current danger of starvation or privation of any sort. Your family is going to be fine.
Oh, he flew away.
Wants to eat trash and get hit by a car. I mean, bugs do that too, right? This is my brother. But anyway, I think it just comes down to people are feeling a ton of stress, and people feel sympathetic stress. They feel this, overarching, I think gloom because of this pandemic. And then you have, when you add on top of that, the political discourse in this country has gone absolutely batshit.
It's bananas.
It is. There is no room for a leavened opinion. There's no room for anyone to have given something some thought and come to a point where they go, you know what, guys? There's probably a place where we could all have a reasonable agreement about this if we tried.
I think a lot of people, one of the reasons I don't engage too much with people, because I think people are too quick to just fucking shit on each other in the comments, but I would be willing to bet that those same people would take a completely different tone
if they were in your face,
looking eye to eye.
Oh fuck yeah,
face to face.
No,
that's what
they're all keyboard cowboys,
and that's why I like to just. It's like, hey, come on, podcast. Let's sit down and fucking have a conversation and talk. It's just that's the way to do it. I'm over it. I'm just
the problem collectively in general is. There's a real satisfaction to be found, and that's the am I the asshole stuff is the same thing. And when you get to make a moral judgment and pass a sentence on somebody.
Yeah. And tearing people down.
And for example, a couple months ago when, what's his name? John Lewis, the congressman, the civil rights guy, a national hero, honest to God. Was at Selma, was a bunch of other places, had that great quote about, get in the good kind of trouble.
Right.
When the time calls for it, make good trouble. A real hero. Now, by the same token, he was a Democrat.
Yep.
And he believed in a great many of things that Democrats do that I don't. Right. Just like there are lots of Republicans who believe in a lot of things that I just don't.
Yep.
And, somebody, Mitt Romney or somebody, I forget who, somebody made a comment, on Twitter about how great John Brown was and what he brought to the country. And John Lewis, I'm sorry. What he brought to the country and how important people like him were.
Right.
And for him to die when he did was really, in that heated moment, there are people like, if you stood in John Lewis's way, you shouldn't say his name. You shouldn't have anything to say about him. That kind of keep his name out your mouth thing. I didn't buy that. I'm like, you can disagree with a person on something and still respect them.
100%.
I don't believe in, universal health care, for example, which he's a Democrat. He voted, he's pushed for, he's advocated for, he's spoken about in his political career. And I'm sure saying I don't believe in universal health care makes me sound like a heartless bastard.
Well, but
that's the thing we could dig into.
But I'm going to attach something to that, because I was just thinking about this the other day, because there's a lot of stigma around universal health care. You say you're against universal health care, people think, oh, you're a fucking piece of shit. Fuck you. I don't care about your opinion.
Yeah.
Listen, here's the thing.
You don't care about innocent babies.
Here's the thing. I'm good. I want everybody to be fucking taken care of. Okay. I want the government to figure out how to do that,
like real, honest to God, affordable,
costing me extra money. So my circumstance, when the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, whatever the hell we're calling it these days, went through, my
healthcare doubled.
My healthcare went up.
Self-employed. The cost of my healthcare doubled.
The money that I was bringing home went down. That's all I know. I know that to be factual. Yeah. That happened to me. Okay, I received letters in the mail that say, "Hey, due to increase in healthcare costs, we're raising this, we're raising that.
We're cutting back on your benefits. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get that. Your prescriptions are going to cost more."
And what was I going to do? Yeah. I went 7 years on a job without a raise because they just didn't fucking have it.
Mm-hmm.
The money just wasn't there. That happened to me. My costs went up, but my fucking cash that I was getting paid sure didn't.
Yeah.
So when people are sitting there and they're going, "Oh, everybody deserves health care." Yeah, sure, great. Well, give everybody fucking health care. But I don't want to fucking be out all this extra hundreds of dollars every goddamn month. That's the way I feel about it.
The problem I have with that argument, and we'll get back to John Lewis here in a second, but the problem I have with that argument is everyone's like, health care is a right. Well, no. And here's why. A right is something you have naturally. It exists independent of any other person.
Right.
You have the right to free speech. You have the right to a freedom of worship. You have the right to assemble.
Yep.
You have the right to own a gun and defend yourself.
Yes.
Those are all things that fall into the category of natural rights. Self-defense, let's take out the gun part of it and just say self-defense. Sure. You have the right to defend yourself against assault.
Yep.
A right to medical care would mean that you have the right to demand something from somebody else without recouping the expense of their education, their time, whatever raw materials they used. And that is not the definition of a right. That is the establishment of I'm not going to use a really inflammatory word. I'm just going to call it a subservient class.
Yeah.
That is saying that healthcare workers, if they choose to get into it, must only get into it for 100% pure and altruistic reasons, because they are going to be, the demands on them are going to be made in a way that precludes their ability to say no or to determine what the value is of their time, education, effort.
Yeah.
And people argue, oh, it works great in Britain. It doesn't work. It doesn't really work great anywhere when you really dig into it. So I'm for more affordable healthcare. I'm for solutions that make it easier for people to get what they need.
1,000%.
Why the fuck?
Yes.
Why the fuck, if you've got a rash, do you have to go to an MD when you could just go to a PA or even an RN?
Yeah.
And they'll go, yeah, that's eczema or that's impetigo. That's whatever that is.
Here's a cream.
Boom.
Bye.
Yeah. Why the fuck are we charging for $125 through our insurance plus $15 or $30 out of each of our pockets and a copay?
And that's all I'm saying.
Then to go and pay 10 times what the cream is worth at the fucking pharmacy.
And that's all I'm saying. Let's have some actual fucking reform, some change, some real dig into it and get it fucking done. But that's too hard.
What conceivable reasons are there for health insurers to have to be licensed individually in each state they operate?
Yeah.
And again, he's kind of a libertarian guy. He can't be for federalism. I am when it makes fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm a pragmatist. I'm not dogmatic about anything.
Right.
So getting back to John Lewis, because I thought this is an important point, is someone was like, if you stood in his way, well, what do you stand in his way about?
Right.
and you can't disagree with somebody on anything and still be allowed to admire them anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's and I said that, and I posted, you can not agree with everything a person says and still admire their accomplishments, admire what they stood for.
Yes.
And someone's immediate response was, "You're a racist."
Really?
Yeah, straight up.
Really?
No.
Somebody called you a racist.
Straight up.
So fuck that person.
Yeah. I wrote back. I must be. Because, like, what else are you going to say to that? I mean, and don't get me wrong, like, they accomplished their goal. Their goal was to make me feel uncomfortable and make me hurt a little bit. And it did, because I'm not those things, and I don't like the idea of that word being attached to my name in print, even in digital print in the fake world of social media. I don't want my friends saying that about me. I just won't tolerate it.
If somebody turns around,
if someone calls you a racist,
go fuck yourself.
Yeah, well, no,
end of story.
Well, I responded with a sarcastic remark. But what are you going to do? You're going to report them?
No,
and
I'm just
start
going to tell them to get
like
fucked.
A whole like Facebook litigation about whether or not you are or aren't.
I tell them to get fucked, because that's the problem.
That's a conversation ender,
right? But that's the problem, is that people turn around and they go, "Oh well, I'm not, because I'm not," and then they feel like they have to justify it. If somebody calls me a racist,
justify anything.
I'm not a
Fuck
racist. Go get fucked. That's the end of it.
I said I must be, and I didn't say another fucking word to them because the reality is, someone who's going to fight like that has no interest in...
It's bullshit.
They have no interest in the truth. They have no interest in exploring an idea. They have no interest in any kind of...
throw some in there.
This is the Penderin. This is some good shit. This is a world where people want to be heard, but they do not want to hear. And that sounds facile and sort of...
No, that's right. Yeah, I'm with you, though.
But it's the truth is, people talk at you, and when you counter them, they move the goalposts.
Yes,
and we all have people who we deal with regularly who do this. Yeah. And you say something to them, and suddenly it's not about the thing that you were talking about; it's about this other thing. And the most annoying thing is, you call somebody out. You observe that some side has said or done something hypocritical, dishonest, of bad public comportment in some way or other, right? And sorry, I keep dropping like SAT words. I got to stop doing that.
You're fine. I'll use a thesaurus later.
I can see Nick sweating. I'm such a dick. I am such a dick. All right. My point being, immediately you can tell the affiliation people, because they jump on their side and either A, say there's nothing wrong with what that person said, or B, say, well, what about Trump? What about Hillary? What about Biden? What about whoever? Yeah. And they make it about whatever that other person did. And there are people that I'm very, very close to in this world who do this, and it drives me batty. Yes. Because someone asked me the other day, someone who I really admire and enjoy speaking with on Facebook, and we don't see eye to eye on everything, but we can have a good faith debate. Sure. And this guy, he and I go through a bit, and it starts out a little hot, and it cools down as we like work around the points. Sure. And we talk about, and we find a common ground at the end of this debate. I don't even remember what the debate was specifically about, but at the end of it, I said, I believe that what we need is to take that breath and say, I want to respect you. I don't want to judge you. I don't want to condemn you. I find that our association, or our potential association, if you don't know somebody yet, has more value than for me to just slap you around and walk away and feel self-righteous. Yeah. And he said, well, how do we get back to that kind of civility? And I said, you have to call a foul on your own side. Yep. Like that's we got to play golf, not basketball. Yeah. And in golf, if you don't know the metaphor, in golf, you are expected to self-report if you accidentally move your ball. Yep. You are supposed to, hell, Legend of Bagger Vance, the little kid talking about, it's the only sport where you have to call a foul on yourself. Yeah. And there's honor in that, a personal honesty and integrity that goes into that. And if you can't admit when the side that you are affiliated with has said or done something that's hypocritical, idiotic, in some way dishonest, you have to be willing to own that. And it doesn't mean that people think, oh, that means I can't support them anymore. Right. Well, maybe you can. Maybe you can't. It depends on the depth of the transgression, right? But call a foul on your own side. When you see, and this one fired me up, and I'm not for those of you who didn't listen before, I don't really fall on either side, which people go, oh, well, that makes it easy. That means you can call fouls on everyone and nothing ever comes back. I'm like, I have to answer for insane libertarians all the goddamn time. Yeah. John McAfee was a candidate for, well, I don't belong to any party, but if I did, it would be the Libertarian Party. And he was a fucking candidate, and he's probably not actually a murderer, but he's certainly an insane slime bag who keeps getting himself into shit, right?
Okay.
He's not a reputable person. And
who's John McAfee?
He's this software guy, and he's a libertarian personality.
Oh, yeah, I have heard of him. Okay.
Anyway, he was accused of murdering somebody in Honduras, and that probably isn't what happened if you read into it. But on the other hand, he just got indicted for tax fraud in Spain, so not a savory character. Yeah. And libertarians are full of insane people who are like, all taxation is theft, and government should be abolished, and everybody should just be living in the wild together, and whatever happens goes. And those insane bastards have less in common with me than the people on the right or left. But because I don't sit on the right or left, I have to apologize for them.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we all have to be able to recognize what the fringes of our movements, whatever we believe that we identify with, we have to recognize when they've gone off a cliff.
Yep. 1,000% yes, man.
Because the reality is 5%, and then this is fake math, but 5% of the right and 5% of the left drive the agenda. Yeah. And it's funny because if you are on the right, you believe that 5% of the left drives the agenda. And if you're on the right, you believe the same about the other side, but you don't believe it about your own side.
Right.
You believe that you don't feel yourself being swung every time someone posts some inflammatory thing about how the other side's this or that or whatever. Yeah. The reality, the Supreme Court thing that's going on, the nomination situation.
Yeah. The situation. That's a good way of framing it.
Well, the reality is all of everyone's points on this are ahistorical bullshit.
Well, what do you think? What do you think?
I
think you should wait?
I think he doesn't want to wait because he's pretty sure he's going to lose.
Do you think he's going to?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know, but I think he does.
If you had to pick it right now, if you had to call a winner, presidential election,
I would probably call it for Trump, but like before, like with 48% of the popular vote.
I'll say it like this because we all know Trump's shortcomings. I mean, they're very blatant,
profound,
they're very obvious, they're very in your face, 24/7.
Yeah, when I say profound, I mean deep, and we're going to get into it in a second, a particular one that really got a rise on me. But
but what always troubles me is just blatant, just dishonesty.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care who does it. If you're just lying and there's proof, that's frustrating. So regardless of side, mm-hmm. I mean, this last debate, the vice presidential debate, I mean, there were things that were blatantly said that were just absolute lies, and there's absolutely no way that the person saying them couldn't have known that they were bullshit when they were saying it. They knew at the time that they were saying it.
And by the way,
that shit
I don't like to admit this because I like to be somebody who's informed, but I didn't watch either debate. And you know why? Because it's all fucking theater, man. Everything that all of them are going to say. And all anyone's waiting for is a fly to land on someone's head, or somebody to sputter while drinking their water, or sorry, Marco Rubio.
That shit was ridiculous. Yeah. That shit was ridiculous.
But
but he didn't have to stare at the camera the whole time like he did. He was like,
Well, I don't know. That's kind of sexy, isn't
It's
it?
kind of weird. I'm just saying. I'm going to try this. I haven't tried this. Which one is this?
This is the Penderin, the Welsh whiskey.
All right. A Welsh whiskey. I've never tried this. So, Penderin. Here we go.
How are we doing?
That's got a different feel.
It's totally different. Totally different. It's bitier. It's
definitely,
hotter.
yes.
It's hotter, but it's
yes.
not like cheap hot.
But I'm like tasting other things in there. That's really weird. That's good.
Like I said, it's kind of like an Irish whiskey, except just dressed up.
Yeah, it's slightly smoother. Yeah, I like it. That's good shit. I'm gonna get fucked up on it. I know that.
Get it done. So, all right, make sure we get done with the point about the lying. I'm sorry, you're talking about dishonesty.
Just that's been my chief thing. This whole presidential bullshit going on is just blatant dishonesty.
Well,
like I don't mind people fucking up. People fuck up all the time. Like I get it. People are
we talked
human,
earlier about why dishonesty is a big button for me. Yeah, and
I mean, I grounded my child for a couple of days, took all of her electronic devices away just for being dishonest. That's a big one with me.
Yeah,
as it should be with everybody.
Well, my dad, and this is what he learned from his parents, and the way that he phrases it. And we actually, so a little plug for something. My sister signed my parents up for something called Storyworth, which sends them emails every week that ask them to talk about their lives. Tell us a moment you're proud of. Tell us this or that.
That's cool.
My dad did a really great one a while back about what he's most proud of in life.
Yeah.
And the thing that he's repeated since we were kids is what his goal was with us is to raise independent, ethical adults.
Yeah.
Like everything else, everything after that is gravy.
Be a good fucking person,
man. Like success, wealth.
Yeah.
Intellect, whatever.
Right.
All that is gravy.
I don't care what you do, just be good at it.
We're incredibly, like I have a very tight knit family. I'm very close with my brother and sister and with my parents, and we, don't have drama. We don't have any of that stuff, and
you
that's
lucky
all.
Bastard.
Yeah. Well,
we'll talk about that after the show.
Yeah. No dirty laundry here. I'm talking about what I'm proud of here, and that I talked last time I was on here about my grandmother and what she brought to my life. But that particular phrase is from my grandfather on my dad's side. Yeah. His dad is our job is to raise independent, ethical adults, and independent. Means independent. It means that they're not living in your house. They're not, they're not mooching off you when they should be an adult and handling their own shit. But it also means independent in that they don't tolerate interference, and that they're confident in their own, skin, in their own conviction.
Right. That's a big thing.
Yeah,
man. It really is.
But that ties right into the ethical part. Is good people. Just be good people.
Yeah.
Be fair. Be down the middle, honest. Give everyone a fair shot. Give everyone a hearing.
And I'll be honest with you. I haven't always been that person.
I haven't
always been the person I am now.
Yeah.
And
you're not fair.
I'm working towards it.
Yeah. No, that is an ideal.
Like
I want to be like Superman.
Yeah.
No one's going to be like Superman.
But I know I've in the past or whatever, but I've worked to try to be a better person, to try to be more understanding and accepting and open and all that stuff. And to try to do that now is like, good fucking luck.
Everyone wants to tear you down for it. Everyone wants to go, if you scratch real hard at a libertarian, you're going to find a Republican who likes weed.
Yeah.
If it's really easy to stand in the middle and throw rocks at both sides, it doesn't prove that you have conviction.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's really the opposite of that, because what I believe is true regardless of which side is the right one on that topic.
Yeah.
So if it's gay rights or legalization of illicit drugs or ending mass incarceration or any, like a ton of what are theoretically lefty things, I believe very firmly in. Those things. Those things are things that I believe incredibly strongly in.
Yep.
But then you get into things where it gets like universal health care, where I don't want to just drop the S-bomb and say anything socialist, because that's not really what I mean. I mean things where you abrogate personal responsibility, or where you eliminate an incentive that creates innovation and change and motion in the market, where you over-legislate to the point where you create massive unintended consequences. Donald Trump, for example, paying no taxes is not because of the fact that he's a bad person.
Right.
The fact that he's a bad person, I'm just going to repeat that because people are going to immediately go, oh my God, he's a Trump apologist. They are...
But
they
are
the result. They are the now. You know, you got analysts everywhere saying, "Oh, it's he cheated." Like, well, maybe not. He's been under audit for like 6 years, and they haven't indicted him on.
I heard
plenty of time to indict him.
But I heard what he said about hey, I'm playing by the rules.
Yeah,
you guys wrote the fucking rules. Who wouldn't do that?
Exactly.
Every time I go pay my taxes, I'm like,
there's got to be something I'm missing.
What's up, man?
Yeah, fuck.
Is there something I don't know about?
Nobody pays more taxes than they think they have to. And the reality is the tax codes are written in a way that wealthy people and people who have a wide array of resources can play them off one another.
And if you got enough money that you can pay enough people to fucking sit there and comb through those laws, take those stacks of fucking tax books that these idiots in Washington have written over the years.
$500,000 will save you $70 million.
Figure out how to make me not pay any fucking taxes. Figure it out.
Right.
Hey,
exactly. So,
who the fuck are we to judge?
So, the truth is, all of those things are the result of unintended consequence, over legislation, over excessive social engineering.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to just be honest with ourselves about what we're talking about
across the board. Yeah.
And what so for example, if we decided we were going to allow prayer back in schools or something like that. Now that's one that
top shelf.
I really strongly believe doesn't belong there.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I have all the respect. I have all the respect in the world for religion, but the
I have no problem keeping it out of schools.
Yeah, but what people forget very frequently, and people on both sides forget this, is that our constitutional protections are there to protect. And this is James Madison or James Monroe. I can't remember which one. James Madison, I think, wrote this in the Federalist Papers. Yeah. The Bill of Rights is there to protect the minority from the tyranny of the majority.
Right.
And so, if you're a Muslim kid in Springfield, Illinois, and there are 29 blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white kids sitting there praying to Jesus at Christmas time, and you're sitting there by yourself, that's not fair. That's not okay in school.
Yeah.
Look, if you wander into Catholic church in Springfield, Illinois, and you're a little Muslim kid, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Like,
Suck I don't tell you, if you're there, if you walk in, you know it's there.
But in school where it's compulsory.
I agree with
that. You should not be required to.
But as a result of that, we've also, Christmas and Halloween and all these other things have also fallen victim to that, because I mean, it's not that I think we should put religion back in schools, because I'm good with it where it is, but I do think the holidays and the stuff like that, it's when you got the one kid. Yes, that's one of our biggest problems.
That's one where I call it overcorrecting a little, because frankly, like the Starbucks War on Christmas crap every year. Oh my God, they had a red cup this year and didn't have any green on it. They hate Jesus. Come on. That is, by the way.
Yeah.
And the right. This is one where I generally believe the right is worse than the left. But the taking of small symbols and turning them into huge things.
Yeah.
And I want you to say out loud, just after I say it, I want you to say out loud, Wayfair packages up. They have a secret code for packaging up and delivering children to wealthy people to abuse, and that this happens under the nose of the federal government. Jesus Christ! No one should be able to. No one should be able to say that with a straight face.
Now I came up with a solution to how we could determine whether this was real or not.
Yeah,
I said we should order one.
Oh, well, hey, Wayfair's not cheap. Like, you got the money. I'm
just saying, though.
I mean, I'll go in halvesies with you because,
at the time, a couple months ago,
I could stay and have some work done around the house.
A couple months ago, when this was happening, I was like, why the fuck doesn't somebody just buy one? Like, if it's real,
right? If you care so much, spend the $3,000 on the Wesley or whatever the name of the fucking couch is. Right? Find out if a little kid named Wesley shows up along with it. Little kid jumps out of the box wearing like a little loincloth like Mowgli.
Oh,
come on! Like, just say that shit out loud.
That case closed. Yes, Wayfair is peddling children.
No. See, they heard us talking about it. They, the big cabal heard us, and they decided to make ours a clean shipment, not a sexy one.
Yeah, they heard.
It's really funny. There's a podcast that I love. It's called Blocked and Reported. It's Katie Herzog and Jesse Singal, who are two generally progressive writers, but they've both been.
I know that name, Katie Herzog, from somewhere.
She was a writer for The Stranger in Seattle, which is the big alternative newspaper there. She's a great writer. They're both great writers, but they have a podcast now. And I know I probably shouldn't be promoting other podcasts.
No, fuck it. Feel free.
They
do whatever the fuck we want.
Katie posts a bunch of jokes. She posted a joke about got her blocked from Twitter the other day about hoping Mitch McConnell would die. That I thought was pretty funny. But this one was Jesse and I are looking for sponsors who are willing to sponsor our podcast, but we really want it to be something that has us. We want it to be a company that has something we need. Does anybody have a contact at Wayfair? So I say that to say that goodness. QAnon is all bull shit.
Yeah, I'm not
top to bottom, beginning to end.
I'm
bullshit.
I don't know what all. I don't really get into it too much. I haven't delved into it a whole bunch.
You had your friend. And,
conspiracy theorist David Bora.
Yeah. QAnon's all conspiracy theory,
and he can explain it much better than I can.
Oh, I know. Anybody? Look, I heard it. I heard it. It was insane. Yeah. It was like I remember. I was listening to it. I'm out walking and I'm texting you. I'm like, please, God, tell me you're not buying into this shit. I'm like, he and I probably don't need to be on a podcast together.
There is, so we should fuck it. I say we.
No, that guy's got knives and guns. I only have one gun. No,
but we. I don't buy into it. But I haven't really spent a bunch of time looking into it either. I will admit that. I don't really know much about it. I know I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, QAnon, it's all crazy shit," and so I just haven't bothered.
There's a book,
I don't fucking know.
And it's a really great book about conspiracy theories in America.
Yeah.
And it's called The United States of Paranoia, and I'm trying to find.
Do you buy into conspiracy theories at all? Like, what?
No.
You just think no. You just you're a.
Well,
by the book,
like
you see it.
I don't believe that there's some. Jesse Walker is the writer of the book.
Do you think there was a magic bullet?
No, and actually, there's
9/11 inside job, all that stuff.
No, none of that. It wasn't a magic. It was. See, the thing is, if you really dig into it, and you don't have a conclusion before you come into it, and you're willing to listen and really look at all the evidence and be cautious, it wasn't a magic bullet.
Yeah.
The description of the path the bullet takes has to do with the fact that people don't realize that I think it was a Ford. The car that they were in had an elevated riser in the back seat.
Yes.
So the president and Mrs. Kennedy were sitting higher up than the governor, who also was shot. And so when Kennedy was shot and it goes through him and hits the governor, people are like, how did the bullet sweep him curve up?
Right.
That's based on an assumption that
they were sitting level.
Yeah, that they were sitting level, and that's not true.
Yeah.
And so typically a lot of these things have genuine explanations, like jet fuel can't melt steel. Well, yeah, it can if the conditions are right.
Well, it may not melt it, but it just has to weaken the integrity of it.
Right,
and,
right. All it has to do is bend a little,
Yeah.
and the way the whole thing's designed, it just pops.
And we don't
loose.
fucking know. It's not like that shit's ever happened before,
Right,
so it's not
right.
like we have a big basis for comparison. That was what I
Right,
always said about
right.
that.
But
with the other one, with the magic bullet, just one of the big things that I always heard people critical about was whether Oswald could have actually gotten the shots off. And then
they've demonstrated
that there's no problem that the guy could have gotten the shots off.
Yeah, a Marine sniper of his qualifications
Yes,
absolutely
and then,
could do it.
And now they did
and
say
they did it. Hell, fucking MythBusters did that.
they
one.
did, and but they did say I believe that his rankings while he
Didn't
was in the
suggest
Corps
that, yeah.
did not suggest that he would have been able to pull that off. That's just fucking practice.
Hey, dude, he's
just practice.
We're
Get out
talking
there in
about
the field with a
practice.
couple fucking milk
Talking about
bottles and
practice?
practice.
Yeah. Well, he spent 4 years in Russia or whatever it was. It was spent a long time. I don't know if it was that long. It was maybe 2 years. He was spent in Russia.
Yeah.
You don't know what he would like. I don't think they turned him into the fucking Winter Soldier or anything. but he could have been spending all of his time
Just
shooting to
Yeah.
shoot. And
Who knows?
But
And then
United
the
States of
echo
Paranoia-
sounded like extra
Yeah.
bullets.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit that
United
plays
States
into
of Paranoia is a fascinating book because
I'll check that out.
What it talks about is that conspiracy theories are cyclical.
it. Yeah.
And they evolve and change to meet the need of the moment. And they typically fall into a few specific themes.
Yeah.
Fear of the outsider, fear of power. I can't remember all of them. It's been a little while since I read the book myself. But what's interesting is you go back all the way to pioneer days, people living on the outskirts of Western civilization with Native Americans at their back door. The stories they were telling about Native Americans back then and the kind of things that they did. Fear of the outside. Then you move that up, and those were the stories they were telling about. Black slaves that they do these things, and that's why we can't. They're wild animals. That's why we can't let them loose. And they fulfill a need of. And I don't mean need in a justifiable way,
Right.
But they fulfill someone's psychological need to fear, or they are an expression of somebody's fear of something. And
it can even provide a reason for irrational fears and logical fears. And suddenly you have something to justify.
It's a way to justify. It's a way that they justify bad behavior in a lot of cases. And one of the really interesting ones was the Satanic Panic. If you recall hearing about that happened in the 80s, where Dungeons and Dragons was satanic, and every there was a bunch of people at a daycare, and I can't remember where.
I actually have just listened to a podcast all about the daycare.
Yeah, it was fascinating because they lead all these kids into this idea, and a bunch of people went to jail for a long time because the reality of what had happened was there'd been a change in the way that child rearing happened.
Yeah.
And you have this anxiety that all of these people who are now two-income households and have their kids in daycare all day long, they don't know what's going on with them. They're terrified that they're doing the wrong thing.
Yep.
It's a major cultural shift to have two parts of a couple in the workplace and have kids sort of warehoused in these places.
Yeah.
And they develop this anxiety, and people consciously or not, cynically or not, decide that this is something that we've got to dig deeper into, and I've got an idea about what might be happening. And it's this sort of self-reinforcing thing. And the Satanic Panic thing is exactly the same impulse as the Wayfair thing. Yep. It's this, except instead of the people who work for us now, it's the people above us, the elites who are doing it. And so the focus changes.
Well, a lot of this sort of started around the Epstein time.
Right.
That,
well, I mean, because there's no question that he was doing this. The belief, but there's a substantial difference between.
You think Tom Hanks was banging some little kids, man?
Who?
Tom Hanks was on the list.
No,
you think,
bullshit.
I don't buy that.
No. Like he's living
fucking
in Greece.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah, he's when you actually dig into it, Tom Hanks has spent a fair amount of time. He's not Roman Polanski. He spent a fair amount of the last few years in America. If they were going to arrest Tom Hanks, they would fucking arrest Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks would not be playing Mr.
You know
Rogers.
how I know?
They didn't film the Mr. Rogers movie he did in Greece, right? They filmed that in the United States. Why? because they're not going to arrest him for fucking pedophilia because Tom Hanks is not a fucking pedophile.
Yeah, I didn't buy the Tom Hanks thing.
Yeah.
You got a lot of hate on the old interwebs there for a few days, but I didn't.
It's a bunch of fucking nonsense.
Oh,
like none of this. The whole Save the Children thing.
Yeah.
The way it's come out is, and again, I'm not a sociologist. I'm just a guy who works in marketing and studies people, and I'm interested in people, and I've read a lot on it. I'm not a scientist, so take all of that as disclaimer for maybe this dude's an idiot. It wouldn't be the first time. You
wouldn't be the first one on the show.
Yeah, well, I know. I've been listening.
I mean, this show right now, the one we're doing right this moment. There's definitely more than one idiot.
Yeah, there is. But that's good. That's good. But anyway, the Save the Children thing, in my opinion, the reason it's come out, and the reason that it came out when it did, and the people that reacted to it, is there people who couldn't see themselves couldn't reflect on or believe in the Black Lives Matter stuff.
True.
And they needed something. It's like, are you talking about people and cops all the time? What about all the children? It's like it's their response. It's their club to beat back and say, look, I'm also a virtuous person. I care about things that matter, and I don't want innocent people to be hurt.
Sure.
And it's a way that they can do it that is performative and probably in a way sincere, but they were looking for something that would allow them to do that. And this insane QAnon bullshit about human trafficking. First off, and I mentioned to you the Fifth Column podcast, and they mentioned this on it a lot, is the Fifth Column podcast is a bunch of libertarian and sort of oddball writers who talk about the news of the day, talk about how things are reported in media. It's really interesting. And they're all very credible, smart.
Sure.
You know,
I've loved what I've heard so far.
They're people that are able to appear on TV on either side of the line. They're legitimately credible public intellectuals. But anyway, they talk about, and they bring on Elizabeth Nolan Brown, who's a writer for Reason Magazine, who is like their expert on human trafficking.
Yeah. Every
Every time there's a human trafficking bust, she's there. She looks into it. She reports on it. And at the end of the day, some people get, charged for giving hand jobs, and they, the fantastical elements of being imported from China to be sex slaves, and that they don't have homes of their own, and they all live in the back of a warehouse, and the instances of that. I'm not saying that they never ever happen,
right?
But I'm saying that the vast majority of them, when you distill them from what is reported initially, like the Robert Kraft situation.
I don't know why I was just thinking about that.
But that's when they talked recently about, if you were listening, they talked about the indictments finally came out, and the charges on him were dropped.
Of course.
And not on the woman who jerked him off, which I think is bullshit.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no.
They charged the woman that jerked him off.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, well... that's another one, by the way. Prostitution, I personally find it distasteful, but I don't see any reason why you can't sell any services you have to offer.
Hey, if you got pussy to sell and you got a buyer, then fuck it. What do I care? Go do your thing. Go make that money. Like, do your thing.
Do you mean pussy as a generality, or do you mean pussy, like specifically pussy, like you object to a man doing it?
I mean, if a dude wants to go out there and sling ass, I mean... Who am I to fucking say no? Yeah. We all got to make our way in this world the best way we know how. But
ultimately, like this fantastical story that the Palm Beach County Sheriff spun about how they had broken this ring of hundreds of girls who were in massage parlors up and down US 1, jerking men off and
which way is US 1?
No, they're all shut down there. They're all shut down there now. You gotta go to Tampa for that shit. Dale Mabry.
Tampa. Dale Mabry.
That's where all the strip clubs are. There. I assume there's hand jobs there. I don't do strip clubs either. Like, I don't understand here.
When's the last time you went to a strip club?
6 or 7 years ago.
You know who owns a strip club?
Yeah. Our buddy, David.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Shout out to La Palace.
Yeah.
Dave Cintron. Go down there to La Palace in Tampa and Orlando.
Yeah. Well, and I like
Tell
David.
Tell him Nick sent you from the Porchville podcast. If you say the Porchville podcast, Yeah, I don't know.
Hey,
I'm
you
not.
give me a free hand job.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There you go. Yeah, there you
But
go.
no, I genuinely. It's not about whether or not I think it's okay for women to strip for men or anybody to do anything they're doing in them. The thing I don't understand at a fundamental level is, for me, I wouldn't go to a strip club alone, but I also don't want to go with my friends because why do I want to go and sit next to you knowing you've got a boner?
That's well,
like I don't. Hey guys, let's all go somewhere together and have uncomfortable erections while we're watching women gyrate.
In the strip club. I don't get an erection in the strip club at all. I swear to God. I've been to the last.
Well, no one's punching you or spitting on each other, so maybe you're just going to the wrong.
I was
one.
in a strip club like a couple years ago. Went to a Black Label Society concert down in St. Pete, and we went to a strip club after the fact, and yeah.
I
the whole time I sat there like talking and having a conversation.
I just have
with the girl.
zero interest in a strip club.
Oh,
I don't understand
I get that too.
And like the last time I went with a half dozen guys who were all like, "Oh, we gotta go. Like our wives aren't around," and I'm like, "All right, fine." So we go over there, and like I'm just sitting there, and someone's like, "Hey, man, you gotta have fun here. Here's $50 to go get a lap dance or whatever." And this girl. And I go back, and she starts like rattling off "Oh, you're really cute. Do you live around here? Gosh, I only do this, and maybe we could hang out sometime."
What was her major?
Like, I don't remember, but yeah, she was.
She told it to you.
Yeah, no, I don't remember. But like, I've like she worked every cliche in the book, and I went, "Thank you, darling. I have $50. Here's $50." I don't remember what this cost, but I'm done here. And I went back out and I bought a beer, and I'm like, ugh.
Oh man,
because this is a personal thing. Call it vanity if you want, but I don't pay for the illusion.
Yeah,
I'm not the best looking guy. I'm not wealthy. I'm not powerful. Some of you probably think right now he's kind of an asshole, right? But the reality is that I genuinely want to have a real connection with somebody.
Yeah,
and so the idea of paying for that is just gross to me.
Yeah.
And so I didn't expect to be talking about this on here, but at least I have a position that I come to rationally, and I feel some reasonable virtue for. And it doesn't mean that I give a damn what other people do, and other people can like strip clubs and buy into the fantasy and be happy with it, and that works for them. I've
spent rent money once or twice in a strip club.
Yeah.
It's probably a bad idea, not a good move.
Yeah.
But, it's happened. It's happened.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, it
was a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, you don't have rent money anymore.
I don't have rent money
now
anymore.
it's college fund money.
Yeah, right. There's no college fund.
Sorry, guys. Hope you're not still awake. But yeah, I just that's not a thing for me.
No.
But ultimately, how the fuck did we get on strip clubs? God damn it. Oh, no, we were talking about human trafficking and whatever, and I said Dale Mabry, which I can honestly count on one hand the number of times. I'm 40 years old. I've been in a strip club 4 or 5 times in my life. Huh. And they were bachelor parties, and actually my first week on the job with a new boss, he took me to a strip club.
Did you ever go to Mons Venus?
No.
You can't drink there. So
you can see or you can drink.
Well, no, but here's the funny part. Okay, let me tell you about this shit. So we get in there, they sell you a styrofoam cup
for like $25,
something like that. You can take that cup to your car, fill it with whatever the fuck you want,
motor oil,
and bring it back in,
turpentine,
and enjoy the show.
Napalm,
but they're not asking questions. But it's a $10 styrofoam cup. What the fuck? I don't know.
Do you have to buy a new cup every time you go outside?
No.
See, that's where they're missing it.
Yeah.
But you got to throw. You can't leave with that cup.
People were putting them in like newspaper machines out front, like bottles of fucking booze. There's a gas station right next. It's crazy.
Well, I've never been to Mons Venus.
It's an interesting place. I recommend it.
Well, hey, Wyclef Jean loves it.
Does he?
Well, this is the song. The Something Gentleman, Distinguished Gentleman? I can't remember. He has a song about being a gentleman and loving where the hose is, singing out with the women at Mons Venus and stuff. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
A Perfect Gentleman, I think.
And then there's the spaceship place across the street, which I hear.
I have been to that.
Have you been in the spaceship?
No.
I hear it gets wild in the spaceship. That's all I've heard.
No. I don't go anywhere that I wouldn't want to see in a black light.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
That's a good rule of thumb. God damn.
But I have been in there. It was against my will. It was my friend's bachelor party, and his brother-in-law, paid the driver to take us there.
Yeah.
Like we'd agreed we weren't going to go there, and suddenly we're in the fucking driveway of a strip club. We go in, and this is my favorite part of the story. And this, by the way, is his wife's my friend's wife's favorite part of the story. Is he's drunk as shit, and his brother-in-law pays for a lap dance. And they go into the room, and this girl's dancing for him, and he when he drinks a little too much, he gets kind of philosophical.
Yeah.
He goes, "You don't really want to be here, do you?" And she goes, "You could tell." And
fuck.
She starts crying and talking about how she hates doing this. And she sits on his lap and he's crying, talking about how I'm getting married in 2 days to the love of my life and I can't wait and I love her so much.
Oh my goodness.
And they come out 2 songs later and both of them have been blubbering for 6.5 minutes or whatever 2 songs to 1 3/4 songs is, because it was immediate.
That is tragic.
And
I feel so bad for whoever that girl is.
Yeah, right. Well,
what is her stage name?
Dude, I'm not her fucking biographer. But she loves that story. The wife does.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he was.
Why wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't she?
But there was no mistaking it. They came out eye makeup and he's crying, and I was like, what in the hell happened in there? and he tells me about it. He's so drunk. I know he couldn't have made up a lie. He told me the absolute truth. But yeah, man, I don't get it. I don't buy the fantasy. I went
to a strip club in Oregon one time.
Oh boy,
in Medford, Oregon.
How many Birkenstocks?
None that I can tell. But.
How many dreadlocks?
Kind of a similar
How many
story.
white dreadlocks?
Well, you know our pal Sean, and Sean got roped in, and when we were going back to the hotel, he was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, man, she's going to college. She's a really good person. She's just trying to do this to work her way through." And I'm like, Sean, that girl was telling you and 3 other dudes the same shit all night long.
Yeah,
bro.
She's saying if we just go upstairs, we can have a good time and it won't matter and nobody will know. Yeah,
I just need that extra $100.
Yeah.
She loved you until you were like, "Oh, that's all I got." And then she's like, "All right, baby, well, you have a good night."
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
So,
I don't
experience over, but
it's not my thing. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Let's talk about the fucking world. Let's talk about the world.
We were talking about but shit. I think this all started with I brought up the appointment thing, and we never talked about the judicial appointment thing.
Yep.
What do you think? Do you think he should just ram it through?
I posted a thing on my Facebook page a few weeks ago that was an article from 2013 or some shit. Whenever Harry Reid and them, they decided, all right, filibuster for most judicial nominees.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and get rid of that because we're going to get these people
we're going to ram
and all
through.
that stuff.
Yeah.
I remember when that happened.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
And I remember thinking
they're going to
regret this someday.
Well, back in the day, you remember 2011, 2012, 2013, second Obama administration, someone wrote a book. I can't remember who it was. Wrote a book called "The Permanent Democratic Majority."
I don't remember that.
They claimed that there would now be a permanent Democratic majority. I know the phrase is correct. I don't remember the provenance. And at the time, they thought they were never going to have to worry that they had won the hearts and minds of people, and that they were never going to have to worry about Republicans troubling them again. They didn't anticipate the Republicans would hitch their wagon to someone like who they chose to.
Yeah.
A clown and entertainer. But you're right. But you're right. They at the time they were so sure that it would never come and bite them in the ass. The unintended consequences thing.
But I knew it would at some point. It was just a matter of time. So, as far as I'm concerned, I look at it very simply. If the roles were reversed, if parties were reversed,
they were.
The Democrats would push this through.
Absolutely.
If they had the ability, they would push it through. If you tell me otherwise, you're a disingenuous cocksucker, and you should be flogged publicly.
Well, the reality is, you can't believe what anyone says about it because Joe Biden argued that you shouldn't, that you should wait for an election. They called it the Biden rule. Like that was the Biden rule. He's the head of the Senate Judiciary Committee says, in an election year, and I mean it was not as long. It wasn't as the vacancy wasn't as far out as the Merrick Garland one. Like that one was kind of egregious, but I think that was 14 months. The one that Biden was referring to was 11 or 10. Yeah. But either way, Biden was the one who leveraged that, who forwarded that rule that then the Republicans adopted and claimed. And all the while the Republicans are adopting that during the Merrick Garland thing, the Democrats are saying he's the president. He won the election. He's still the president until whatever date. And he can
agree.
He can push it through. And now they're like, hold them to their word. Hold them to their word. It's like you had your word was three different things. In the last three different situations.
Listen,
this is bullshit.
Politics is always going to be about getting the leg up on your opponent.
It's 100% about the will to power.
Yeah.
And now, do I think that it's a good idea? I don't. I don't think that they should be ramming one through. I think they need to take. They've already got a 5-4 majority.
Yeah.
By the way, I really profoundly object to the idea that we have to put this fig leaf over the idea that we don't look for ideological litmus tests, but we 100% do, and all we talk about is whether or not someone's going to overturn Roe versus Wade, or like all of these things that are like the third rail. In American politics, if we've got this idea that we got to put a fig leaf over the idea that that's all we're asking about. Fucking Noah Hawley? I can't remember. I think Noah Hawley's a TV producer. There's a Republican who said, I won't approve any justice who isn't explicitly against Roe versus Wade.
Right.
Well, that's unethical.
Yeah.
That's not what judges do. And when you read the writings of even the most profoundly conservative or liberal judges in general, they have.
Well, I guess the question would be: do states have the right to have it be illegal?
No, I don't think so. Honestly, I don't, and I don't think it'll get overturned under any circumstances.
Neither do I.
And the reason is Roe versus Wade turned on an issue of medical privacy.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
I am an enthusiastic amateur.
I'll say this too, as far as gay marriage and abortion and all those sort of things go. I've heard when Trump was running, I did hear him say that it's settled
law. He said that about gay marriage.
Well, yeah. He stood on the fucking stage at the Republican National Convention and praised, LGBTQ and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's been crucified.
Yeah, he had Well, I mean, he's
done some dumb shit.
He's done some dumb shit, and this trans stuff.
Jesus.
The trans thing is a very, very deep well.
It's a very deep well.
And it's one of those things where you look at the outer 5%.
Yeah.
In fact, I mentioned Jesse Singal and Katie Herzog. Their coverage of the trans movement is what has them sort of on the outs with the progressive mainstream.
Right.
It puts them in an interesting place. Their commentary is fascinating. I don't always agree with their endorsements, their values, their judgments, but the conversation is always really great.
I'm good with anybody who's just honest.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
Well, they are now professionally in the business of calling a foul on their own side, and that's the thing I admire.
Yeah.
But you're going to make enemies doing that. And that's because there are people who don't want to be honest, who don't want to be true, who don't want to be serious. They want to win. And Mitch McConnell is one of those people. Yeah. Like, you already have the 5-4.
Yeah.
You've already, you appointed two men in their early 50s who are going to be on the court for 30 years.
Yeah.
Unless someone can find Brett Kavanaugh's schedule from 1987 or whatever it was.
His yearbook?
Yeah.
Do they need his sophomore yearbook too?
Like, fuck, man. It was the flimsiest of things. But
I really, really enjoyed all the, I believe her. Believe her. I really enjoyed all the virtue signaling that everybody put out there about you got to believe her, only to be followed up a few months later with a similar allegation against one of their own, and it was let's
slow down. Let's look at it on the merits.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, regardless, like when it's one of those things you say out loud.
Yeah,
doesn't know what had happened. Everybody who was there, everybody who might have been there, everybody who she said was there has no recollection of it.
Yep.
Like you couldn't even get a grand jury on that, much less an indictment.
Well, people don't want to hear that shit.
No. They want to believe it because they believe it's something else they care about is contingent.
If we're talking grand jury, there's no more famous grand jury right now than what's going on in Kentucky.
Yeah,
Breonna Taylor.
Yeah. Well,
that's a big deal. But there's a lot of there is a lot of things that aren't lining up with the narrative.
Well, no.
Case,
people choose. People choose whatever part
and
of the
that's
narrative
the frustrating
supports
part.
it. You'll read people who go, she was shot during the cause of a drug bust where her drug addict husband or a drug addict boyfriend shot at a cop. Well, no. He was a legal gun owner. He was not the subject of the warrant. He was not. He had requested that they announce themselves, and they did not effectively do so. And he, once again, totally clean record.
Yeah.
Totally clean record. Dude's a model citizen. So Breonna traded up from the piece of shit she was dating before.
I heard that when I heard about it originally, I heard that they shot her through the window or some shit.
That happened to some other kid, and that was a white kid that it happened to, actually.
What?
Totally different story.
Gee,
cops were sneaking up to raid a house, and they see a kid in his bed, turn over, respond too quickly, and shoot him.
Oh no, I heard that they at one point, like, looking out the window or some shit, like, it was weird.
No. I'm telling you, that's conflating two stories.
Yeah.
This is a fairly recent one. Didn't get the same coverage because it didn't fit the narrative.
Right.
But no, she was not in bed. That's the story people say. She was up.
Yeah. Well, that was what it
fucking
came
horrible.
to be.
She died in her hallway, and
yes.
And if you want to hear, address the part where she was lying there on the floor for 20 minutes, and no one was treating her. That's a big problem too.
Well, but it's also kind of false because I heard that they said that she died pretty much instantly. That there wasn't.
I don't know. I don't know.
They said that the injury that she sustained that actually killed her.
What fixes this shit? What? Fucking body cameras.
Yes.
They didn't have any fucking body cameras. If you're a cop, you should have a body camera every single second that you're on duty. And if you don't have one on it, you know what? You come in at the end of the day. Oops, it broke.
You're fired.
What? You don't get fired. You don't get paid for the fucking day.
I'm done. No. I'd say you're fired right then. If your body camera isn't on in the world we live in 2020 nowadays, if your body camera isn't on and you come in with some bullshit excuse of I guess I forgot to turn it on.
Well, see, forget to turn it on. I wouldn't fire anyone. I wouldn't fire it because look, dude, I forget shit all the time.
Hey, sure, I
forget
understand.
shit all the time. Now, admittedly, I don't have the power of life and death.
Exactly,
over people,
and that's the difference.
But the reality is, the guys will come and go, oh, it got stepped on.
Yeah, but
like a bunch of childish shit. You know what? If you just don't get paid for the day.
But if you hang a couple guys out to dry like that and you fire them, they're going to figure out real quick.
Police unions.
You know what? I better
have an outsized amount of power.
But police unions have taken a bad hit with all this stuff.
They deserve to,
too, as well. They should, and I think you're going to see a lot less power in those unions moving forward. I think we're going to do what we can to restrict that a bit.
Criminal justice reform has kind of been my corner. Like, of all the things, I've never been to jail.
Yeah, me neither. Go figure.
Yeah. I mean, you look like someone who's been to jail.
I look like I should have been at least in the waiting room once or twice, but I've never been.
But how do I put this? I have always cared. I've always instinctively known at some level that the power police have over normal people is profound.
Yes.
And a minor incident happened to me when I was 17 that I didn't realize the danger I was in because I was a white kid, and it didn't even occur to me. I got pulled over for speeding. This is I-95, like 1997. I was driving from Jupiter to West Palm Beach, where I lived, and I'd had a bad day. I'd gotten fired from a job, and I was driving home. I had a friend in the car who also worked the same job who didn't get fired that day. I am driving a piece of shit old Mercury Sable, and I get pulled over by a cop because I'm going like 80 miles an hour down. It's 9 o'clock at night or 8:30 at night. I'm ready to get home, and it's 40 minutes to get home. And I'm in the shittiest of moods, and this cop pulls me over, and I'm pissed off because I shouldn't have been speeding. I'm mad about everything else that happened that day. I'm just in a foul mood, and I've been pulled over before, like once or twice, and I know, they'll get out. In the past, they got me out of the car and talked to me, and whatever. So I get out of the car, and I'm sort of stomping around. I got my fucking license in my hand, and the cop goes, "Get the fuck back in the car." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Get the fuck back in the car right now." And like, I mean, if I was a black kid, I probably would have gotten shot for that, honestly. Yeah. But I didn't. Honest to God, and I don't like it. I don't like the phrase white privilege, but to be honest,
it's a weird thing.
I know. Man. Well, it's a very complicated thing, and it's one of those concepts that people apply it in ways that are more about control, or they're insincere, or they're based on a lack of understanding. I don't know, but ultimately, this was a clear situation in which it did not even occur to me that cop was afraid that I had a weapon and that I was like on my mind or whatever, and he was scared out of his mind that he might shoot me. They might have to shoot me. Didn't occur to me, honest to God, for like 5 years afterwards. I'm like, why is he so fucking pissed off? Why is he asking if they're going to bring a drug dog over to sniff my car? I mean, look at me. Like, who would think that I'm like? Yeah. And my friend, the cop's like, is he high? Is he what's wrong with him? He's like, he just had a really bad day. He just got fired from a job. He had to sit there for 3 hours so he could drive me home. Yeah. Like, actually, I went and saw Wild Things that day.
Nice. Nev Campbell, yeah. Denise Richards. What's up? 98 or so?
97, 98, somewhere in there. But I saw Kevin's Bacon, unfortunately. Yeah, I didn't need to see that. Dude, hey, you know what? I was
but
really
at the time,
impressed.
that was better than anything.
Kevin's Bacon?
No. Nev Campbell and Denise Richards making out in the pool. That was like...
Yeah, that was pretty good. Matt Dillon pouring the champagne over her and stuff. Yeah, that's good stuff.
I forgot about Matt Dillon.
Yeah, look, he's just a dark-haired thing. A bottle of champagne in that scene, as far as I'm concerned. I was surprised I was able to remember who it was. But anyway, I went and saw a movie while my friends are all continuing to work at this place. There were 4 of us that worked there, and I'm the only one that gets fired that day.
Why did they fire you?
The guy couldn't afford me was part of it, but part of it was he was paying us to code websites, and I was all right, but I wasn't as good as the other guys were at it, honestly. And the project that he had me working on was more about, like, honestly, it was like a precursor to a lot of the marketing stuff I do in my regular life now. It was like figuring out how to put together a page that would sell the products that he wanted to sell. And when he kind of hit a bump in the road as far as some other stuff, he couldn't afford to keep paying somebody to work on that project. And I wouldn't deny I was the obvious choice of the 4 of us to go in terms of our skill set. Well,
that's the worst. It's getting fired, but it builds character too. I guess.
Well,
so, we've all got to go through it,
So it sucked, but anyway, it didn't occur to me till later, like, that I could have been in any danger in that situation. But at the very least, since then, like, the idea, since I realized that, and I'd always understood it in some other circumstances, just when I was right in that situation, I was so in my own head, it didn't even occur to me. But in other situations, other things I've observed, other things I've read about, other people, it's unquestionably true that if you are in an exchange with a cop, your odds of dying go up like pretty substantially just for interacting with a cop.
Right.
Compared to the days of your life. When's the last time you interacted with a cop? You had a conversation with?
About 6 months. I got a ticket. I was speeding. Yeah, I do the same thing I always do. I roll down my windows. I got my shit, ready to go.
Hands on the wheel. Get your shit ready to go. Turn down the music.
He actually asked me to step out, which it's all like the county guys around here always ask you to step out. The city guys always say just, they come up to the car. County guys always say, please step out of the vehicles. I stepped out of the vehicle.
Just checking out your ass.
Might have been, it's nice. The guy
I like to be admired.
He says, you know why I stopped you? I says, yeah, man, you got me dead to rights. Let's roll.
Write it. Let's go.
Let's go. I got to get home. I'm still not in a great mood.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend any more time here than I have to. Let's get this shit done so I can go. He wrote me a ticket. He gave me a break. He was a nice enough guy.
Yeah. He gives you too fast for conditions instead of 25 over or some bullshit. Yeah.
Right.
It's never happened to me, guys. I don't speed. Don't speed.
I'll be honest. I speed everywhere. I'm terrible at it. I'm really bad. I'm bad, and it catches up with me every now and again. I got to pay a little buck, a little bit, but it is what it is.
You pay your own bills.
Yeah. I'm independent. I'm responsible for the most part. I don't know how that fucking happened.
The odds were against it. I'm going to tell you.
Seriously.
Yeah, stable home. Stable home life. Come on.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was.
Continuous employment?
It was. I busted my ass, I'll tell you that, over the years to finally figure it out. But,
I'm proud of you.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
You're a model for me.
Cheers, brother. Cheers. Thank you very much. It's
Bachelor with a dog over here, baby. I pay my bills, but shit, I go to sleep when I want.
Yeah. So how does the world get back to normal? What do you think? That's a question I'm always curious about.
I don't know. Can you force personal responsibility on people? Can you make people learn to be honest? Like, so much of the world encourages you, down to I work in advertising language. When the fuck did the word you're eligible for become you're entitled to?
Question.
It happened. It happened in advertising copy, and the whole world is willing to cater to you. And again, I am guilty of this. I do this in my job. I talk about how special you are and what a special time this is for you and what you have to do in order to secure your future and get what you deserve. I sell Medicare plans. So I'm guilty of this. I don't write any of the copy myself. Well, I used to, but I don't anymore. I'm other people's boss, and they do that, and I don't have to look at it. But if they asked me, I would tell them to do it. So how much, but the bottom line is, really, I would say the bottom line is a lot. So sorry about that. But what's really happening there is we're being told, not half truths, mistruths. I don't want to put a number on it, a percentage on it, but we're being told in some way that isn't really genuine how important and special and valuable everything we do is, and how precious it is, and how when we don't get what we want, our rights have been infringed upon in some way, and that happens left, and center.
That sort of falls in with the whole participation trophy kind of thing.
I see. Honestly, I didn't choose. I got participation trophies. I was no good at any sports. Fuck, man. And I always thought they were cool, but I also knew that they didn't mean that I was good.
Right.
And I don't believe, honestly, that most kids believe that getting a participation trophy means I'm good. It's just it means they're good. It's just memorabilia of.
I think the participation trophy is sort of lumped in as a saying for like entitlement in general.
But it was our parents who chose to give us participation trophies. It wasn't the kids didn't go out and buy participation trophies.
Right.
And so.
But I mean, it's an overall like people talk about participation trophies that they say like there were people that didn't want to keep score for high school football games because they didn't want a team to lose.
Yeah, no,
that sort of ends up falling under the guise of the participation trophy thing.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, that's stupid.
It's totally stupid. That's not how life works.
No, you're gonna fucking lose. You're gonna fail. You're gonna fall down. You're gonna get kicked in the fucking dick.
One of my favorite quotes. I was talking to a friend of mine who's having a really rough time lately about this, but there's a quote from Rocky Balboa. Have you seen Rocky Balboa?
I love it. I actually just watched
when
it
he says
last week.
Let me tell you something you already know. Life is a hard and ugly place, and it will beat you down and make you stay there.
Yes,
if you let it.
Yes.
So you got to be willing. You got to be willing to take the hits because that's what life is. You got to take the hits and keep moving forward.
Yep.
You got to take the hits and get. If you know what you're worth, get what you're worth. Just keep moving forward because that's how winning's done. And losers talk about the things in their way, and that's not you. And every time I watch that, I
once had somebody tell me that people who've been through things that I've been through usually end up killing people. That I'm an anomaly. That I was more in the category of people that end up in prison or hurting people in one way, shape, or form. And it's it's all about just taking the fucking hits. You take them and you keep moving forward. I'm not going to let other people's bullshit and other people's negativity determine who I am. Fuck that.
By the way, I never thought that about you.
No.
I would never have said that. I mean, I said it. I was drunk. No. No. I would never. I'd never once thought that about you because you always had a job.
Yeah.
You always said, look, fuck, you're hanging out with a bunch of kids who are getting more. Most of us we're getting paid to go to school,
right,
either by the state or by our parents.
Yep.
And you're able to hang with us. You're not.
Yep.
You're not. You're busting your ass. You're working. You're taking care of yourself. You're a fucking manager at places. They clearly, even when you're 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, you're taking care of shit and you are making sure that you're in a responsible position.
They usually made
for
me
your
manager
life
just because I would actually show up and answer the phone when
well,
they fucking
fuck, man. That's all. Yeah.
At 19, that's pretty much all you need.
You're calling a wolf? Shit, that's all you had to say. Yeah.
But no, when he told me that, I thought, I mean,
I don't believe that.
Maybe I don't know, but it was obviously an overgeneralization.
Yes.
About people who've had a rough go.
That's from somebody who doesn't know shit about
Yeah, but I never felt that way.
No.
That was the thing. I never felt like I had it, significantly terrible or anything. I mean, I was just a guy trying to make it in the fucking world like everybody else.
No, you never had a chip on your shoulder about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And
no point.
I mean, to our credit,
yeah.
No one ever's like, he's less because he's not going to school.
Right.
Fuck, man, you're my brother.
Same to you.
And again, I'm so proud of what you got here. I don't have this, so fuck yeah.
I mean, I got lucky.
You should be so proud. Yeah, you did. You did. And everyone gets fuck, man.
I mean,
everyone who finds a great relationship and is happy for a long time is lucky to some degree, no question.
I did.
But this is the result of collaboration and partnership and real care for one another. And I talked 100%. About that last time, and when my grandparents and my parents are an example of that to me.
Yeah.
Why I'm maybe overcautious, if you want to call it that, but is that the people want this, and people are going to say shitty things to you because you've got it. And I mean, you're not a dick about it. No. I mean, you're a dick, but you're not a dick about
course.
That. Yeah,
not about that though.
But yeah, everyone who's honest wants a good, happy, healthy family life. They want companionship. They want a place that suits them and lets them live the life that they believe is appropriate for them. And I'm not going to use the word entitled to or deserve or anything like that, because
some Texas bourbon, if you want to try.
What we all deserve and all of that is I'm not
I think
deep.
you deserve. I think you deserve what you work for. I really do.
All right.
You know?
I do believe that. I do believe that.
I think that's what you deserve.
There's no. But there's no.
I've always said there's always exceptions to every fucking rule. I can sit here and I can say you deserve what you work for. There's people out there that can't fucking work. Let's take care of those people. I'm good with that. Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out how to fucking make everybody happy. That's what I want. That's what I want in the world.
Yeah.
Let's take care of everybody. Let's see how but it's got to be it can't be just, these folks over here working and these folks aren't working. These are taking care of.
You shouldn't. I was reading something about how we should all have universal basic income because you shouldn't have to work if you don't want to. All right. Well, if you don't want to work, if you don't want to make a contribution, and again, people are going to argue, like slinging burgers at McDonald's is making a contribution. It's like, well, someone got served food that they weren't going to get otherwise. Yep. Someone has to be there to do that until we invent the robots.
But when you give everybody $2,000, $2,000 becomes the new zero.
Yeah.
That's that.
Well, and $2,000 is not a lot of money.
What's it going to get you? It ain't going to get you shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It just. I believe that unless you are genuinely incapable, and not like, I have anxiety when I'm in public places.
Right.
You can't necessarily overcome that on your own. Like you need therapy or you need whatever, and we should be working on ways to.
Sure.
People think we just have to have the government do something in order for it to happen, and that we have to take from everybody in order to do that. And what we have to do is free up the lanes for people to get what they need without inflated costs.
Right.
Like the cost of a college tuition across the board has gone up. The cost of college tuition has gone up 300%. You know why? It's not in spite of student loans. It's because student loans are cheap and easy.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know how big the
let's make that money.
Since 1980, the size of the administrative staff of the average university has increased by 375%.
Really?
Yeah. So when the administrative staff of the University of Florida went in Gainesville in 1970, look at the site, Tigard Hall. Go Gators. Tigard Hall was the administration building. How much bigger is Kreiser Hall? And you know that they've expanded outside of Kreiser Hall.
Yeah.
Kreiser Hall is 4 times as big. And they have satellite administrative offices all over campus.
Yep.
And it's just, and by the way, University of Florida is an extremely well-run university.
It's a beautiful university, too, I can tell you that.
It's the number 4, I think, public university in the country now.
Really?
I think it's tied. I think it's tied with UVA or something, something shocking.
Wow.
Founded by Thomas Jefferson, University of Virginia. Actually, on his tombstone, it does not say Thomas Jefferson. That is, does not say President of the United States.
Really?
It says writer of the Declaration of Independence and founder of University of Virginia.
Wow.
Which I think it tells you what he
valued more. That's impressive.
Yeah. I always thought that was fascinating. And Jefferson's a really interesting guy. There's a great book called American Sphinx about him.
I've been really getting into Teddy Roosevelt lately.
Roosevelt is an amazing, interesting guy. There are lots of. He was a huge. He was
incredible
a huge
stories.
Conservationist.
The Rough Riders.
Well, a lot of the Rough Rider stuff, Teddy Roosevelt was a small guy.
Yeah,
and he was sickly when he was young, and he always had to.
That's probably why I get along with him. That's why I identify with him.
Yeah, well,
I'm not sickly, but
now you are.
I'm not 6'2" either.
At 20, at 21 years old, you weren't sickly. You were someone who would scrap at 20 years old. Now I'm pretty sure it'd only be a couple punches. No, Teddy Roosevelt was a guy who.
That's why I carry a gun. I don't fuck with all that. We ain't fighting shit. No way. You ain't gonna have a kneecap, but that's a different story.
Teddy, I from all of the stuff I've read about him, he's actually a really big character in the Ken Burns National Parks documentaries, which is really good. But he was a guy who was obsessed with masculinity and manhood and what it means to be a man, and in ways that were virtuous and inspiring, but also ways that were really toxic and really awful. And he glorified war, and he was, like one of the biggest champions for the beginning of Spanish-American War. And he did the Rough Riders thing, and we wanted to be a colonel, and he left a job as the deputy secretary of the Navy in order to do that. And he was just he was obsessed with proving his manhood.
He was a son
but
of
by
a
the
bitch.
but by the same token, he was profoundly inspired by and loved the outdoors, and established the national parks.
And if
which
not for him, I mean, where the fuck would they be?
Yeah, Ken Burns.
Where would the country as a whole be?
Ken Burns did a thing about the first couple episodes, or the first episode of the national parks. Our Best Idea, I think, is what it's called, or the nation's best idea, America's best idea, whatever.
Yeah.
The best ideas in there. He talks about how Niagara Falls and some of these other things were just ruined by tourists because there was no conservation. There was no consideration of posterity of future generations admiring and enjoying these places. And it took somebody using federal power, a Republican no less, using federal power to do that. But historically at the time, Republicans were they were, still kind of in the pocket of big business to some degree, but they also were for limited government. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that he was a progressive, he was the first progressive in the modern application of that word. He was in favor of unions. He was in favor of trust busting and all kinds of things that were designed to make the lives of middle and lower class America better.
And unions for as much of a bad rap as they get now.
No, unions are necessary. Unions in the
back then. I mean, they've really helped to shape this country the way it is now.
Yeah. My dad gets all up about Labor Day, and I don't celebrate Labor Day. Well, what the labor movement is now is not what the labor movement was when it was established. And when you look back into the 1860s and 70s and 80s and 90s and sort of that Gilded Age stuff, and I'm probably not exactly right on the exact details and times here, but this was a time when companies could hire Pinkertons or somebody like that to just come and beat the shit out of people and make them go back to work. And the Pinkertons would murder somebody and bury him in a shallow grave, and suddenly people would be going back to work. Right. And you'd live in a company town where you didn't get paid real money; you got paid company money. And
that you were spending in the company store to renting the company house and paying the company utilities.
And all prices the company set that kept you absolutely an indentured servant. And we don't have that now.
No,
that doesn't exist. We live in people talk about how they have the right to this or that or their job. I'm like, you know what? You have the right to go find a new fucking job. Yeah. There are parts of my job that are not easy, that make my life harder than I like to be. There are parts of it that I like. The parts of it I love, and they fulfill things that I'm really good at, and I find value in. But ultimately, if this job doesn't end up being the right thing for me someday, it is not my right, responsibility, or privilege to turn it into what I want it to be.
I guess my neighbor's watching a game of some sort.
The Miami Heat, by the way, this is how much I love you. After this, we're going to have to watch the Miami Heat playing the Lakers in Game 5.
Is it Game 5 today?
Yeah.
What's it at?
The Lakers are up 3-1. And I grew up in South Florida. I've been a Miami Heat fan for over 25 years.
I didn't know it was that far in.
Yeah.
That tells you how much I follow it. So,
well,
and not because of what's going on.
Oh no, like
I don't really
I know
give
people.
a shit,
I know people are like, "Oh, Black Lives Matter." Fuck, I'm not watching that anymore. I'm like, you know what? You'll get over it. You'll get over it. It doesn't matter. Look, Black lives do matter.
Sure.
And there are important. There are important things. There are good and bad parts of that message. By the way, the actual Black Lives Matter movement, if you read their website, they are deeply Marxist.
What got lost? That's what got lost. And I'll tell you, when all of this when George Floyd was murdered and everything like that, and he was fucking murdered. When all that stuff happened,
yes, he was.
I was talking to a gentleman whom I know, and I said, the Black Lives Matter movement is one thing. The slogan, the saying, Black Lives Matter is another.
Right.
They don't belong together.
Right.
Black lives do matter.
And
fuck you if you think otherwise.
And there's no question. There's no question that they have had to deal with things that you and I have not.
1,000% sure.
But yeah, the overall idea that
just because you then turn around and you name your organization Black Lives Matter does not mean that everybody has to fucking agree with what it says, because that is separate from the slogan Black Lives. That's like it's language.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's good positioning. It's clever positioning.
That was something I thought of with the whole gator bait thing. That is it's language. It's not. It's just
like
language.
The idea that there's this. There is no question in my mind that the right lost the culture war. The culture war is a thing that people talked about. The morality war.
Yeah.
For in the 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s, the moral majority held sway, the Christian value thing, and all of that. And somewhere along the way, and I'm not entirely like bothered by this, but it is the truth that secular morality overtook religious morality as a primary mover, not just of individuals, but if you're Hobby Lobby, or Chick-fil-A, you are beaten to hell for upholding Christian values.
But look at the position that the Catholic Church put people in.
Right.
In my opinion, I think that's where a lot of it comes from, because back in the day, you didn't do shit in town without consulting the church.
Yeah.
Everything revolved, church and state and everything, was all intertwined.
Right.
And
it's because everyone's afraid of giving up control.
Sure.
Everyone's, when they've got it, they're afraid of giving up. And that's why they use morality like a club.
Yeah.
And it's just that the hands are secular now instead of religious. Right. And it's still all gross.
Yeah.
Going back to the nomination thing for just another minute, because the will to power thing is interesting to me, and the fact that there's hypocrisy all around, and it's turtles all the way down,
Yep.
Sturgill. What bugs me about it is at its root, again, there's the hypocrisy part, of course.
Yeah.
But it's this presumption that if this doesn't go our way, we're gonna blow it all the fuck up.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
And again, I think 30 days or 60 days or whatever it is not an appropriate amount of time to vet and install a new lifetime appointment in our federal judiciary. I think that's inappropriate. I think it's now, I don't think she's got even like beer-loving party boy sorts of,
rumor has it she was on the docket to be nominated before Kavanaugh was, but for whatever reason they went with Kavanaugh.
I don't know, but either way, she hadn't been on the federal bench very long.
Yeah.
Like, she's still only been on it like 3 years.
Right.
But I think it's inappropriate. I don't think it's due consideration. I don't think it's an appropriate amount of time for vetting. I think it is. I think it is a purely political move.
Oh, 100%.
That has no.
I agree with that.
That has that. I mean, collectively, we should be above. We should be able to.
Agree.
We should be able to say, man, that's just not how we're going to be.
Yep.
And we should be able to say, Republicans, that's a foul.
Yep.
That's a foul. And as Democrats, all of this railing and stick to your word and all this bullshit, man, you don't stick to your word. You don't. You don't.
Yeah.
The one that bugged me was the impeachment thing.
Yeah.
A while back, like I had some dude on Facebook or whatever shouting about it. We need a president who will submit to the will of Congress and respect the will of Congress. I'm like, do you know that Barack Obama and Eric Holder were held in contempt of Congress for like 18 months over the Fast and the Furious thing?
Yep.
Like, they absolutely did not respect the will of Congress. And you know what? At the time, if you even remember it, which this guy clearly didn't, even though it's recent fucking history, you are making excuses for him.
Yeah.
Call a foul. Call a foul.
Yeah.
Say respect the will of Congress.
Like, it's okay.
Even when it doesn't do you any good, call a fucking foul.
Yep.
Even when it hurts you, because that's integrity.
Yep. It's okay to have fucked up. It's okay for your team to have done wrong. It's that's okay.
But
I don't care. But when you turn around and you look at me and you say, "No, he didn't say that." Listen, now you're a scumbag.
Yeah.
Now you suck at life.
Yeah.
Now I don't want anything to fucking do with you.
Yeah.
Because you can't even just fucking be honest. If you're not going to be honest with me about something that somebody else who means fucking nothing to you said, what else are you going to say?
We all get sold the lie.
Say, we
all get sold the lie that this is the most important time. This is the most important thing. This is the most monumental thing.
They say it every time.
It could be a Supreme Court appointment. It could be an impeachment trial. It could be an election. There's never been a not the most important. It is amazing how I've been able to survive and keep all of my hair and sorry.
You lucky bastard. It does look good. It looks fantastic.
Bought and paid for it. No, not really. Not really. No, thankfully I got those genes from my dad's side, not my mom's. My mom's dad had the horseshoe.
Yeah.
Anyway, how have I been able to stay sane and not just rabidly like chewing through the walls over how intense every subsequent election has been? I'm 40 years old. That's 10 presidential elections. Admittedly, I didn't care much about the first two that I was alive for. But
do you listen to Bill Hicks at all?
I have. I probably couldn't pull out.
He's got a special on Netflix that I watched a couple weeks ago.
Bill Hicks? Or you mean Bill Burr? Because Bill Hicks has been dead for 30
Bill
years.
Hicks. It's a special of his from 94.
Okay, yeah, because he's been dead for at least 25 years.
And
Bill Hicks was brilliant, though.
It was him talking about, this Rodney King was going on, the L.A. riots were happening, all that shit was going crazy over there. And there was an election happening and all this. And to hear him say it, if you were just listening and didn't have any information about who he is, when it was said, any of that, you would think that it was said today. You would think it was current fucking events.
Oh yeah,
and it's exactly
they
the same.
They always claim it. The most consequential election of our lifetime. Well, you know what? It's not. It's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
The second biggest lie, and you remember I said this on Facebook a little while ago, but the second biggest lie in America is I don't care who you vote for.
Yeah.
You have to vote.
Yeah.
No, you fucking don't. Yeah. Look, I vote. I care. I'm engaged. This stuff we couldn't have spent the last 2 hours talking about this and dick and fart jokes and strip clubs if it weren't for the fact that I really do care about the forward momentum and what we are as a culture and a country and a government and all that. But the reality is that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like, if you're not educated, you shouldn't vote. If you are dumb as fucking rocks, if my dog was a person instead of a dog and she was 18 instead of 12, I'd tell her, if you want to vote, go ahead and vote.
Go ahead.
She's going to vote for dog bones and licking her butt. But frankly, I feel like that's a choice.
I'm right there with you. That's pretty much where we're at.
Yeah, but ultimately, you can vote for what you want to for whatever reasons you want to, and that's fine with me. But the reality, the posturing, no person who has not already told you who they think you should vote for will ever, ever, ever tell you that you must vote, that it's your civic responsibility. And that's because that's a coercive thing to say. It's not fair. It's not fair to say, I don't care who you vote for, you should vote, and they're covered in fucking Biden-Harris, or they're covered in MAGA shit, or whatever.
You know what I saw? I saw a poll recently that I thought was funny. It was a different twist on the polls because I see the excitement. I see the enthusiasm around Trump, and I could be wrong. I mean, maybe I'm seeing one side of it. But I don't see that enthusiasm for Joe Biden. I see people on Facebook saying Trump 2020. I don't see people saying Biden 2020.
Yeah,
I see people saying
Trump 2020.
Don't vote for Trump.
Yeah.
But they're not saying Biden.
Well, and that's a problem.
They're not excited about it.
That's a problem is because and the problem comes down to intellectual dishonesty, and again, it comes on both sides.
Well, with these polls, they again, that I don't really buy into. One, I saw it. The poll was, how many of you think your neighbors are voting for Trump?
Oh, and they think a ton of them are. Everyone's terrified of it.
So the polls go like the polls were, 48% Biden, 42% Trump, or something like that.
Yeah.
But then when they asked people what they if they thought their neighbor was voting for Trump, it was like
65, 70%.
58% for Trump and like 32% for Biden.
Yeah.
So that sort of makes me think that there's a reason for that. Maybe it's the appearance. Maybe there's signs on the lawn or something like that.
I think part of it is there's self-reporting error. I think there are many, 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 many people who don't want to admit they're going to go into the ballot box and vote for Trump.
Yeah.
It's not me. It won't be me.
Yeah.
We didn't get too deep into it before, but there was never a chance I was going to vote for Donald Trump. There's never a chance there was almost a chance that I would have voted for Biden, and that was when he did the Lafayette Square thing, when Trump walked to Lafayette Square and had police like shooting tear gas, and he stood there with a Bible in his hand as a fucking prop. It's just
the Bible thing was weird because
he had it upside down.
Like,
you fucking dumbass.
It looked like he had never held it or some shit like that. It was weird.
But
again, that was a situation where Barr came out and said, X, Y, and Z. This is the reason that these people were moved back, and then it was reported in the media as ABC. And
so what's true? I don't know. I don't know what's true about that. But either way, it was a needless provocation for him to cross that park, drive those people out, and stand in front of there and do a photo op.
Yeah.
And it was utterly imperial.
Yeah.
And to me, that kind of cavalier use of power is profoundly offensive.
But see, that's what I'm saying, is because the reports that I heard, and this is just what I heard here and there, because initially it came out that they're tear gassing and they're pushing people out so Trump could come and do this photo op, and then Barr comes out and says, no, these people were supposed to be moved yesterday after the church burned down, and then so we came in that morning to discover that people had not been moved back. These boundaries for protests had not been moved back.
So what? The president
is that
it's a fucking photo op.
Well, but that's what I'm saying though. Is it as much a photo op, or is it just a victim of circumstance? I hate to call Trump a victim in any way, shape, or form.
The president is the most protected, the most sheltered, the most, but also in some ways the most mobile person on the planet.
Because I'm telling you, this is what people are struggling with. This very scenario right here.
I know, but
because people are being told two absolutely
divergent things. I get that. But
if Trump is standing there going, "Get these fuckers out of Lafayette Square," I want to pose with a Bible.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Then he's a cocksucker, and everybody can get behind that. And there's a narrative that people are pushing to say he's a cocksucker because this is what he did. But then there's these other people that are coming out saying he's not a cocksucker because that's not what he did. This is what was being done, and it just so happened.
Well, he would just so happen to take a fucking stroll. He's the president. He doesn't take a fucking stroll anywhere.
But I don't know.
He does. The president.
I'm saying though, you have two different narratives being presented.
I don't buy one of them.
But that's what people are struggling with.
Look. Could it be less the tear gassing and more that it was?
I don't
less than
fucking
that?
know.
The point to me is not whether or not he tear gassed people specifically, or why he tear gassed people. He did not need to go from the White House or wherever the fuck it was through Lafayette Park to the front of that church and do that. That was a provocation, regardless of if those people should have already been gone. He's the fucking president. It takes him 45 minutes to go anywhere. Yeah. There's no question that the Secret Service reported on who was in front of him before he left.
Yeah.
So he or somebody elected to drive those people out in order for him to do this thing that any sane person would have said, you know what?
Right.
I'm just going to make a speech from the Rose Garden today.
Yeah.
I'm
100%.
just gonna go to the like. It's not like they're not gonna be. There's not gonna be an audience. He's the most powerful man in the whole fucking world. Donald Trump is the most powerful man in the whole fucking world. Donald fucking Trump
is the most powerful man in the whole fucking world. Can you believe that?
Oh, it's so depressing.
How did that happen?
But
I still
I don't know.
This
I don't know.
day,
Everybody is complicit.
Sometimes I'm looking at the fucking TV screen and I'm seeing him on there, and I just look.
I wake up and I'm like,
and my wife will look at me and she'll see me. She's like, "Why are you laughing?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry. Sometimes it's just hard to believe that this motherfucker I used to watch on The Apprentice is the goddamn president of the United
used to
States."
Do fucking Pizza Hut commercials. When
I didn't see that coming. I didn't see it coming. I was like, okay, well,
all right,
Clinton,
4 years of Hillary.
Okay,
fuck. All right.
Jeb Bush is going to be the guy. That's who he's going to be against. And I thought
Hillary's going to win it in a walk.
I thought there was a slim possibility with Bush, Jeb Bush.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. I don't like. I didn't like Jeb Bush when he was a governor.
You're probably right. Hillary would have really.
He would have won. She wouldn't have won in a walk. I mean, and it's because Trump energizes people for better or worse. Yeah. He animates people, and Jeb Bush doesn't have that.
But it's all about finding the button. You find the button and you push it, and when you do, then you're fucking president.
But yeah,
People just got to figure it out.
I was thinking about Biden just the tiniest bit, like just a little.
Yeah. It was the Beto thing for me. Well, it was the Beto O'Rourke thing, and it was the gun thing for me that I was like, you know what? I mean, Trump literally could walk over and shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue right now, and I still would fucking vote for him at this point. That's how fucking bad I think the Biden thing is. Because I don't think he's all there.
No,
either.
I don't think he's all there. I don't know that whether or not I think he's all there. I think he's an enormous risk not to finish his term.
Oh, 100%.
For one reason or another.
Did you see the news today? The 25th Amendment thing about Nancy Pelosi. They're saying it's a test run for when Biden gets in there, so they can get him out, and they just apparently they need to be expedient about it.
Like I know people who have claimed, oh, he's gonna win, and then he's immediately gonna resign, and Kamala Harris is gonna be the president, or Kamala. Kamala is how it's pronounced. But anyway.
That lady's a bitch.
She's a bitch.
I don't give a fuck. That lady's a bitch. She kept people in prison having evidence knowing that they were innocent.
Yes.
Fuck that bitch.
Yeah.
Fuck that bitch.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
She's people say, oh, Kamala Harris is a cop. Yeah, she's a fucking cop. She's a dirty cop.
Yep.
And again, criminal justice is my button.
Yep.
It's been. I was saying it earlier. It is the thing that animates me in politics. Is the belief that the state should not be able to coercively or arbitrarily place limits on your life. And in law enforcement, that means digging into your home and your personal business, taking your things, which, by the way, civil asset forfeiture literally is Joe Biden's baby. From like the early 1980s, he was the guy. The Reagan administration put it into practice, but he was the one who worked with the I think it was the Government Accountability Office or somebody to work out a legal justification for civil asset forfeiture. And if you don't know what civil asset forfeiture is out there, it basically means that if you are a wealthy person and you are suspected of some crime, they can secure your. They can take your home, they can take your car, they can take your bank accounts, they can seize everything and not necessarily have proof that any of those things were used in the commission of a crime, but keep them away from you so you can't sell them, spend them, use them in a way to help you with your defense. Because what they were finding was they were going after the bigwig drug dealers, and they couldn't bring them down because they could afford the high-priced lawyers. And so what they did was say, well, if we suspect that you used your Land Rover in the commission of a crime and it's worth $100,000, we're going to take it and sell it at auction, and we're going to keep that $100,000 and use it to prosecute you. And you won't get anything for it.
That's some wild shit, man.
Yeah. And that happens to this day. To this day.
I mean, that is some wild shit.
Yeah. And so that kind of thing, never mind... seeing someone's got a taillight out and choosing that as probable cause to search their fucking car.
Do you know what I do?
And I've the past couple years, whenever I see somebody with a taillight out, I let them know.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
I don't know why.
And you shouldn't have to do that. I mean, it's a very low key version of the talk.
But you never,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know that they talk about the talk.
Sure.
Which I'm sure they have to have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're the child or the parent of a black child or something like that, you got to tell them.
Well, yeah, we
mind your P's and Q's. You got to be 10 times as good.
Yeah.
And now it's not. And it gets into deep territory here, but statistically speaking, you're not any more likely to be killed in a police encounter, but you are much, much, much more likely to get the hell beat out of you.
Sure. I believe that.
And there are a ton of studies that say that, and some really great interviews with people who did those studies who were like, God, I thought it was going to turn out differently, but the reality is, without a doubt, if you are black or of color, you will get the hell beat out of you at a rate that's like 3 times as much as a white person. Mm-hmm. And that sucks.
Yeah.
And you don't want to mouth off to a cop, and that's the talk is justified on those grounds, whether or not you're more likely to be killed.
Yeah.
Because a fractured orbit bone is a lifetime of headaches.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have to be dead to be permanently damaged. And they have some of the worst stories are really horror show sorts of things. And man, I just wish that people could deal fairly and honestly with it.
Yeah.
Because
that's all we're asking for.
Because
that's all we're asking for.
Because the idea that you're going to defund the police is fucking crazy.
Yeah, you're an idiot. If you want to defund cops, if you think we should just defund police departments,
oh yeah, we're just going to send a social worker without an armed escort to somebody who we don't know.
How'd that work for those cops out there in California that got shot while they were just sitting in their fucking car?
Yeah, well,
you know, I mean, come on,
that's
social workers. There was, if you want to send social workers into just domestic calls. There are plenty
of violent domestic calls.
There were 2 cops that were ambushed and killed while responding to a routine domestic violence phone call.
Well, there's a cop in Jacksonville back in, I think it was in April. The body cam footage was recently released of this woman, this female cop who was attacked and stabbed by a woman. She was responding to a domestic disturbance call.
Oh yeah, the lady came out the door. She had the knife in her hand.
With a knife in her hand,
ready to go.
Yeah. Now the cop shot like 6 times and missed her. But then the other cop came up and dropped her.
Yep.
But and I don't blame her, by the way. She got stabbed in the arm and then was in a panic trying to get far enough away to put this woman down because she picked up the knife again after they knocked it out of her hand. She picked up the knife again and they had to shoot her. But like, I think cops should be demilitarized, and I think that they should be reformed and retrained.
Yes.
I've been reading a book called The Rise of the Warrior Cop by Radley Balco, who is like the leading expert on police criminal justice reform on this subject, and one of the leading experts. He's not the only guy, but he finishes each chapter in his book with a series of lies that were told during the time period of that chapter to foster greater adoption of SWAT teams and other militarization, as well as the escalation of the drug war. And the one that stuck with me was in 1972, the Nixon administration, during the beginning of their war on crime, the war on drugs deal, released a claim that said that drug addicts had stolen $200 billion worth of property in the service of buying more drugs, selling it to buy more drugs.
Fuck.
In the year 1971, or in like the previous 3 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
Other bureau, FBI statistics or something like that report that the actual Department of Justice statistics, maybe the actual reported sum total of all theft for any reason over the same period was $32 billion. So they inflated it by a factor of 7 to fearmonger people into letting them break into people's homes without announcing themselves, and to justify buying more and more and more material to have escalating conflicts and more dangerous conflicts, to execute more raids in which they would knock down people's doors without announcing themselves, under the pretense initially that they were going to destroy evidence if they had the time. If you've got like the funny thing about that is if you got a warehouse full of cocaine, which is the kind of bust you want, you can't flush that no matter what. The kind of people you can get are petty criminals, people who've got a personal supply, and they fixated on these things because it scared people and it gave them power to expand their influence. And the way policing is done in America is fucked. It is ridiculous.
I agree.
It is borderline criminal in and of itself. And
I've been stopped by cops. I've been harassed by cops.
Was it a lady cop in your automobile?
I got stopped by a lady cop in my automobile. What's up, Anthony Kiedis? But no, I mean, I've had some encounters with police in my day. A lot of them when I was a teenager. And as I've said on this podcast before, the important thing to note is I never felt like my life was in danger.
I didn't either. I didn't. That's not entirely true.
I never once thought I was going to not walk away from those situations.
I never thought I wasn't going to walk away. I was just always acutely aware of how much power they had.
I was definitely
to
not.
Change the course of my life.
And I thought that just, I could sit there, I could comply with what they said, and all would be fine. That's the way it is.
I'm imaginative. I can always think of ways that it can go wrong.
Yeah.
And again,
generally
guys, speaking,
and there's some
my interactions with cops have been positive, and I'm not saying otherwise.
Oh yeah,
I'm just saying that I'm acutely aware that this is a person who literally has the power of life and death over me. If they can think of a good enough excuse to put an end to my life, that they're carrying a weapon that can end my life.
Crazy.
That's scary. And that comes down in part to how seriously we talked about last time, how seriously I take the responsibility of owning and carrying a gun. Mm-hmm. But I've always been acutely aware of that, even if I wasn't specifically afraid for my life in that moment. Does that make sense?
Do you carry on you?
No.
Concealed carry?
No. I mean, I could, but I don't. And there are times in my life where I've been tested as far as how would I deal in an emergency.
I'll tell you something.
I've actually come out really strong in those moments, and I've been really proud of myself for that. But by the same token, I'm not a great athlete. I'm not the most coordinated person, and I'm going to be honest, I don't put myself in situations where I need it all that much.
Right.
So frankly, I'd rather someone who is more confident, more capable, and more willing to shoulder the responsibility of what happens if it goes wrong than I am. I could not live with myself, and I'm not like suicidal. I couldn't live with myself, but I would be miserable. Mm-hmm. Miserable if I ever made that big a mistake.
When I first started carrying, my wife went out with some friends, and I went and picked him up that evening. It was like, that morning. It was like fucking 2:00. Bars were shutting down and stuff. And I've been at home with the kids all evening, and I'm not a drop to drink. And I went and picked him up. Coming back to the house, and there was a car full of fellas riding next to me, younger guys, thinking they're hot shit, whatever, and they were riding next to me, just kind of cutting over in front of me, and all this sort of weird shit.
They're showing off for the girls.
Showing off, and I'm like, boy, I sure hope this doesn't turn awkward, because I've got a gun, and I it was the first moment, because I'd only recently started carrying, like I said, but it was the first time I'd ever been carrying where I was like, this is a really strange sort of feeling. Like I really have to stop and look at everything. You have to be like hyper vigilant of everything that's happening. Because just because you're carrying a fucking gun, that doesn't mean shit. Like you gotta make sure, if there's any reason that you got to pull, you better be in full legal fucking compliance.
Yeah.
That all the stars have aligned.
Yeah, you don't want to be there. You don't want there to be any question.
But it was just a very weird moment in my life that I distinctly remember, but just because I'd never experienced that feeling of like,
okay, this is a big thing. Like if because of course your mind starts wandering.
You start thinking about what if this, what if that, what if they get out and they start pulling on the door handle?
Then what do I got to do? Well, there we go. But man, it really makes you put things into perspective. Yeah.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It's a lot of responsibility. It really is.
It's funny. I've been smirking this whole time you're telling the story is because I have a story that's ridiculous about one of the first times. Like, I don't carry my gun outside my home, but there have been a couple times where I have had it in my hand answering the door.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a little Foley here, so you're going to have to excuse me. But one day I'm sitting in my home. It's like a Tuesday night, and it's 10 p.m. 11 o'clock. I'm watching Star Trek. I'm sitting around having a scotch and just relaxing, and I start to hear this. Let's see if I'm going to get this done here.
That's an odd noise.
On my front door.
That's okay.
So I go to the door, and I look through the peephole, and I can't see anything. There's nobody. I mean, I'm not saying I can't see anything. I can see my doorway, and there is nobody standing in my doorway that's visible.
Shut the fuck up.
And so I step back, and I go away, and I'm like, maybe I'm too drunk. I don't know. And I go.
Okay.
So finally, I go and I get my gun out of its case. I pop the lock out, put a mag in, rack it, and I'm standing there at the door. And finally, I get enough guts to open the door, and there is a box turtle. It's about 10. It's about 10 or 12 inches in length, and apparently, it decided to dry hump my front door.
That's hilarious.
I'm like ready. I'm ready that I'm going to have to pop a cap in something, or I'm about to have a ghostly encounter.
Oh my God.
It's a turtle the size of a shoebox that it has been bashing the shit out of my front door. So I kind of get like an umbrella or something.
Bring that mic back to you. Bring that mic back to you.
I get like an umbrella or something because I don't know like if it's a biting kind of turtle, right? I'm not a fucking naturalist. I'm not Teddy Roosevelt. And so like I push it. So turn it around, and I sort of
I need more whiskey for this.
Which one do you want?
I don't know. What are we drinking? Just pour me some.
Here we go.
Hang on. Should we pause? I gotta piss.
Pause it.
All right. I'm gonna pause it. Hold on. All right. We're back. I need.
So anyway, I'm feeling like terrified and also weirdly empowered by the fact that I've got a weapon. If there is, in fact, I don't know what I'm going to do if it's a ghost, right?
Well, now you said you don't. You said
no, I don't believe in ghosts at all. But
no,
not zero. No, zero.
See, now I knew that when we got together, we were going to be sitting here and we were going to be talking, about the world and 2020 and all that shit. But Facebook conversation, you and I, we were talking. And
I told you
said
conspiracy theories.
You
and
don't
ghosts are
believe in
bullshit.
ghosts.
Not at all. Yeah. We talked about conspiracy theories. Already,
What if I told you a story, a potential ghost story that I think might change your opinion? You think?
I'm willing to listen.
All right.
I'm willing to listen. Let's go ahead.
I'm gonna lay it on you. So, picture it. Sicily is Michigan. My grandparents, my great grandparents, they would play music together, the fiddle and the piano. So
you can make a nice like speakeasy type restaurant with that name.
Yeah,
the fiddle and the piano.
Well,
everyone wearing fucking bracers and suspenders and hats and
right. Well, so they used to play together, and we had the family home that they lived. Everybody went there for holidays and all that shit. Back in the good old days. And my great grandfather passed away in '86. A couple years later, my great grandmother sold the home to somebody else. The people that bought it are the same people living in it today. They've been there ever since. And they've always said, hey, if you ever want to come by, family, check the place out, see the old house, whatever, we haven't changed anything. Come on by. We'd love to have you, the company. So my great-grandmother, she made it another 34 years, I think it
Wow.
was. And she died the year that my daughter was born, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So shortly thereafter, the homeowner ran into my aunt, who still lives up in the area.
Uh-huh.
And the story that I heard was shortly after my great-grandmother passed away that they started hearing fiddle and piano music coming from the living room, and it had never happened before. After my great-grandmother passed away, they heard the unmistakable sound of music coming from the living room.
See, this is where words
They heard
unmistakable.
They heard music.
Unmistakable
I'm saying
is an interesting
unmistakable.
word.
They heard,
but
they heard
are,
piano.
Are you sure?
That's
Hold
what they said.
on. Are you sure that they checked to make sure it wasn't a turtle?
I guess they should have fucking checked.
Fuck, man. Like I did. Turtles happen, man. But I honestly look. I think
I need some fucking whiskey. What do we got here?
Oh, here.
Give me
Get
some.
the good stuff
Give
here.
me the Japanese something or other.
It loved you a long time, and I'm going to hell for that. I should have said that, but we're late. Fuck, man, we're going on 2.5 hours here, and I've already said some things I probably shouldn't have. I'm probably going to say some more, but
That's all. You know, it is what it is.
I'm trying to keep it under wraps here.
Porchville.
But here's what I think about ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that people who believe in them are stupid or suckers or anything like that. I think without getting too minimizing the level of philosophy I put into this, I'll just say I believe that people have the combination of emotions and imagination and passion for things. And I know passion and emotions, but like we have this investment in things and places, and you know, I've stood at the Vietnam Memorial, I've stood at the Lincoln Memorial and read the Gettysburg Address off the wall and felt moved.
Yeah.
I felt something that felt palpable and spiritual in its way.
Yeah.
I've read things in books that I felt awakened something in me. I've been places that I spent time in as a child that were important to me, that seemed like there was something present there. I don't believe that those things are supernatural. I don't believe that those things are not tangible in like a literal way, but like I don't believe that they are external phenomena. I think they are the result of the beauty of what's inside our brains. That
of which we only know a fraction of anyway.
Right,
you know,
right. Well, it's the whole you only use 10% of your brain thing is bullshit. But the greater mystery, the greater mystery of how we actually work and what makes us who we are is certainly there. Yeah. And for me, I think it's as beautiful a story as if these people had heard from you guys over the years. You know, that they'd invested time in you and having you come see them, that they felt your love and the sanctity of that place for you in your heart. Collectively, your family, the people that come by and seen it, and for them to have felt that they heard something or felt that presence. That doesn't, to me, that doesn't literally mean it's there. It doesn't mean there's an actual ectoplasmic entity there.
Right.
It means that something that mattered to you lived on in the stories that other people carried, and that something that mattered to us or affected us or sort of installed itself in our consciousness animates our imaginations and makes us believe in things beyond ourselves. I think that's beautiful. I don't think it's foolish. I think it's not for me in some way. And like the parts of it I've described are definitely for me. I've gone places that I feel like I felt touched by them, but it doesn't mean it's metaphorical. And so my thinking on those things is that it's not there's no shortage of people trying to prove that the dead speak.
Yeah.
Largely, they're pretty unscientific, in my opinion. But
100%.
But there have been many people
as
who
a
were,
member of that group.
Yeah.
I tell you that yes.
Well, but
we try, but
well, I know, but the other part of it is, you know what? It's fun.
100%.
And
that's why the teams always fall apart because everybody wants to go out and do the investigation part, but the work part, everybody's like, I don't want to do all the reviewing and listening and actually trying to see if shit, like, I actually have to try to be scientific. Nobody wants to do that part. They just want to go out and see, like, is anybody here?
Yeah. I feel like someone's peeing my pants right now.
That's why they always fall apart. But,
like listening to hours of static to hear like one whispered, garbled word that probably was the middle of an AM radio broadcast.
I did have a really cool experience one night at a guest's house, at a client's house that called me and my friends to come and investigate. So she had a couple big dogs, probably 80, 90 pound dogs. They're large dogs. And we're out in the garage setting up, and I'm hearing a dog scratching at the door trying to get out. Like, clearly we all stop and hearing it and are listening to it because it's very loud, and it stops, and my head is all registering that this is a dog. This is her dog that's inside. And then I remember, oh, wait, she said she got rid of the dogs for the evening so that we could do the investigation. But, I mean, I consider myself to be a fairly rational, sane person.
But was the dog dead?
No, there was no dog there.
No, but that's my point. Like, what do you think happened then?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know.
I mean, you don't know with it.
That's the thing. I don't know. But what I do know, the factual part of it is, I heard the fucking door shaking. I heard something. I heard the door moving. I heard something shaking the door. Now I've been in spots.
Is this a town that has wind or one that doesn't have wind?
Oh, yeah.
There's
definitely wind.
Is this a house that has forced air conditioning?
This was
or
more
one that
of
does
a.
not?
This is more of a. And trust me, I'm not somebody that would hear something like this and go, "Oh, it's clearly a haunting." I would go,
right.
Okay, what? Like you said, is there something going on with the air conditioner? Is there windows open? Let's look at all these different things, and let's make sure we rule out. I did an investigation one time for some folks that called me, and they were hearing this weird noise outside of their bedroom window at like 4 a.m. and it was this noise. Not a box turtle, but we went to their house. We investigated it, and about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Was there a ghost masturbating outside the window?
No, but even better than that. At like 2 in the morning, I hear this weird noise.
It's an armadillo, isn't it?
But it's not the 4 a.m. like they said. And I look out the window, and the sprinklers in the front yard of the neighbor turned on. Well, they had a fireplace in their bedroom that had an open flue.
It's getting
but it was a new style. It was a metal flue. It wasn't like a full-blown chimney.
Yeah.
It was one of these metal flues that hang off the side of the house.
Yeah.
So it was only like,
right. Yeah.
My
house, the fire. Yeah, I have one of the gas fireplaces in my house, and it has that. Yeah.
So my theory was, in that instant, I was like, somehow, at 4 a.m., there's something else happening, and that sound is coming in through that fucking vent, and it's making it sound like it's right there in their own bedroom. And I'll be goddamned if at 4 a.m. on the fucking dot, the sprinklers right outside their bedroom windows, still on the neighbor's.
Yeah.
But on the side of his house.
Yeah.
Came on. And when they came on, they didn't come on with very high pressured. Mm-hmm. So as they're pushing, the sprinklers are pushing themselves out of the ground, they're going shh, 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 and then they're on and they run full. So it was a really,
Yeah, it's a gradual. It sounds weird and frightening.
exactly, and it was just a circumstance of them hearing some weird noise at 4 a.m. outside of their bedroom window, being in a sleep, haze and all that shit. But it's also being filtered in through the.
They're not sitting up till 4 in the morning to listen themselves. They get a bunch of chumps.
Right. So that's exactly, and so when I tell you, we wouldn't just sit there and go, oh yeah, that's definitely something paranormal.
Right.
It's everything in the absence of once we exhaust all the the obvious things, like, okay, that's the obvious shit. And what else are we looking at? Let's really fucking dig down on this. What could it be? Is there any sort of outlying circumstances, environmental or, electrical or anything like that that could be causing this, that, or the other thing, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. We had fun. I got some recordings.
Look, it sounds like fun, but again, I just think the amount of empirical evidence that's available for it is vanishingly small.
Yeah,
and is usually open to dispute. The word empirical is a little fuzzy on it, and so, I'm a practical person.
Yep.
I don't think there's a ton of value in believing, to get spiritual, not necessarily that there's no afterlife or something like that, but to believe that that's moving here in that way. It just doesn't fit with what I believe. However, I really believe very strongly and very passionately in the idea that people hold things that matter to them deeply in their hearts, and they and that love and affection and investment, for it's a sterile word, but investment in things leaves a mark on you, and that mark is a hole in our objectivity. It's a hole in our rationality. And so what it means really is that at any given time, at any given moment, you can be overcome by the magic of something that lives with you.
Well, and some people even believe it could just be like other dimensions and shit.
Yeah, I got friends who believe in things like the Akashic field and crap like that. And they're like, if you get high enough, you can see it. And I'm like, I'm not.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, I mean, people tell me about mescaline and LSD and all kinds of shit that I'm just like, look.
You ever tried any of that?
No. I'm not built for that. I have a warrior's imagination. I have.
Excuse me.
Jesus Christ! Imagine what would happen if I was in an LSD when that turtle started banging on the door, right? Like, that's not my.
Did you keep the turtle?
No. I sent him on his way. I said, no soup today. Or no fish today. Anyway, I'm comfortable with my depth and my ability to sort of navigate my inner space. I don't feel this need to, quote unquote, expand my consciousness or move beyond who I am because, again, I'm an imaginative guy. I can project myself into things. I can project thoughts into, or imagine my way into circumstances, or imagine circumstances that are well beyond the normal, because I'm creative. That's what creative people can do.
Yeah.
I don't, it doesn't mean that I'm a great songwriter or whatever, but like,
me neither. It's okay.
Well, I will concede that you're at least a little better than I am. But ultimately, it's really not. I don't feel like I'm missing out because I haven't altered my brain chemistry too much, and I think I don't think down on people who do that.
Right.
I'm even mildly curious about it, but I don't I just don't think that
I'm insanely curious about it.
Have you ever done any of it?
I've tried acid when I was a kid, just like, I mean, the 90s being what they were. I tried it a couple times, and I always had fun with it. I mean, everybody always talked about bad trips, and when I was younger, that was what always kept me away from it, was the fear of having a bad trip, And
I think I'm a candidate for a bad trip.
When
most of my friends who have done it are like, I don't think that's for you.
I flipped a switch in my head where all of a sudden one day I was just like, you know what? I want to try it, and that sounds fucking like a lot of fun. And I tried it, and it was a lot of fun. And I tried DMT. It didn't really do it for me, though. They talk about DMT like blasting you off. I don't know if I just had a weak dose or whatever, but
it was just some pencil shavings.
Didn't really do it for me.
There's a little piece of paper I ripped off my notebook.
I felt kind of, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I felt a little retarded for a minute. I was like, oh boy. But I did, like, they talk about seeing Jesus when you smoke that stuff. And
like, I can go to church and see Jesus.
I just kind of sat there, and I mean, I was chilling. But I wasn't like talking to fucking dolphins or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination. It was boring, It didn't taste good. Didn't make me want to fucking do it again. So, yeah, that was that.
For me, I don't need it.
Yeah.
And at times that I've smoked, you can smoke enough weed that you can get close to hallucinating.
I'm sure.
And I've had a couple times where I've gotten kind of close to that, and like where you're laying in bed and you're feeling something above and beyond your average, sort of just being high. And again, I don't get high a lot. It's not a thing that I have a great passion for.
Yeah,
I don't like the hangover.
No, I hear you.
The hangover they say doesn't exist. It exists. The hangover. I'm here to tell you guys, don't do drugs because marijuana does have a hangover. The hangover is not that you feel a headache or you feel barfy or all you want is fucking Denny's. The hangover is you don't care about doing anything. You don't care about accomplishing anything. I know there are stoners who accomplish things, do things. How the fuck Seth Rogen exists is a fact I can't really fathom based on my experience with the same material. But or Kevin Smith. I mean, he produces crap now, but Kevin Smith produces a lot of crap.
Yeah, but he kind of went downhill, though. What the fuck happened?
I don't look. Everything about him was such a specific sensibility, and I loved it. Like I still love
Clerks, Mallrats. I love that shit. Dogma.
Amy,
I love it. Chasing. I love Chasing.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
I'll take it.
The new Jay and Silent Bob movie is stupid.
Sucked.
It's terrible.
Sucked.
Clerks 2 was great.
Clerks
I'm really
2 is
scared
good, yes.
of if Clerks 3 ever actually comes through because I don't have a great deal of faith in that.
Yeah, the new Jay and Silent Bob was terrible. Jason Mewes looks terrible.
Yeah. Well, he did a lot of plastic surgery.
Well, and they talk a lot about like, did he lose all his teeth to meth or something? I don't know, but
probably
the whole thing. It just looks weird. It looks like it
looks super fucking cheap.
You've seen enough people like trying to hold on, to what was, to the glory days.
Yeah,
and that really looks like it.
Yeah, it felt like that.
And I was like, you know what? I mean,
what movie I actually thought was surprisingly fun? Oh, surprisingly fun was Yoga Hosers. I actually did like that movie. That's the one that Johnny Depp's daughter and his daughter did.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. Johnny Depp was also in it.
I've always been a fan of Johnny Depp.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Artifice bugs me.
Artifice.
Like when people, there's no way Johnny Depp is Johnny Depp when he's sitting at home on the couch. Like he's not wearing fucking three ascots,
fedoras and shit,
and purple glasses and fucking eyeliner. Like, he's sitting there in a T-shirt and fucking gym shorts, like
Right.
farting, watching
Eating his
probably some
third
sport,
bowl of
rich people.
Bluebell ice cream.
Yeah, fuck, man.
You fuck.
Like Johnny Depp cannot be Johnny Depp all the time. That is unsustainable. And so that's what I mean about artifice. Is Madonna, does she actually talk like that all the time? By the way, a transformative moment for me in watching Schitt's Creek, a show that I love. If you haven't seen it,
I have not watched it yet.
Schitt's Creek is hilarious.
It's on my list.
Brilliant.
I'm a big Eugene
Catherine
Levy fan. So.
Catherine O'Hara is amazing in it. And when her entire performance took a turn for me, it was somewhere during the second season, I called my brother. I'm like, oh my God, Moira is doing Madonna's accent. Like Madonna's please don't remember that I'm from Detroit accent. Like that weird faux British transatlantic thing that she does.
I'm from that area.
Yeah, so you know what Madonna should sound like, and what she probably sounds like when she's yeah,
they sound very
very arch, very
northern.
Yeah. A lot of nasally A's.
This is where Matt would come in perfect.
Oh no! So look,
now.
I was born in I was born in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you used to always carry around the Green Bay Zippo back in the day.
I did. I lost that in a cab in New York.
Oh,
like
man.
my second year out of school.
Yeah.
I was on a business trip and I lost it in a cab.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
I tease Matt all the time. I tell him,
well, he's still got the accent. I left
green. I always tease him about being a Tom Brady fan.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, are you thrilled? You know, your boy, he's in Tampa now. He's like, fuck you, Nick. He does not like it. It's really funny.
Yeah, the first thing I was taught to say was "bear stink." Like I'm seriously seriously Green Bay, but I grew up going to Dolphin games for most of my childhood, and so like.
Is Tua the guy down there now? Is he?
He's not yet. Not yet. He's got. I mean, he's got to eventually be right, but he's not. He hasn't started a game yet. But
I figured they.
I grew up in the era of Dan Marino and Brett Favre. How fucking cool is that? Like,
yeah. Does it get better?
Yeah. Yep. We were going every Sunday to Dolphin games, and we had the Packer game recorded for when we got home, and it was fucking cool, and that was like good bonding time with my dad, and so. Marino, I was at his last game in Jacksonville, the 62-7 game. I was there, and that was tough. That was really tough. But
I gotta ask. I don't know. Was he 62 or 7?
He played like he was 62 for sure, but he was 7.
Oh God, his last game, one touchdown.
Yeah, Dolphins were down 24-0 in the end of the first quarter, and they were down like 48-7 at the half. And this is how like not ready for primetime Jacksonville was even then. This is 1999. The sprinklers came on in the end zone during the game.
Did Marino ever win one?
No. He went to one in 1984.
Crazy. That's
never
crazy.
won one. I mean, there were a lot of years they had a lot of bad luck and made a couple stupid draft choices that might have changed things, but.
Have the Dolphins ever won a Super Bowl?
Yeah. The Dolphins have been to 5 Super Bowls and won 2.
No shit.
Yeah, they went to Super Bowl 6, 7, and 8. They won 7 and 8, and then they went in 82 and 84.
So I'm an Eagles fan these days. Yeah. So, but I didn't have a team. I'm a Gators fan.
Yeah.
But I wanted a little bit more football in my life. So. I said I gotta find an NFL
Philly is
team.
a little bit more football. True.
Well, I said I gotta find an NFL team.
If you don't like throwing batteries at people, it's not for you.
So I'm from Michigan originally.
Mm-hmm.
I could pick the Lions, but why?
Yeah, why?
Why? So I said, you know what? I'm gonna pick a Florida team. But I don't like the Jaguars. I think they're just gonna forever be bad. So I thought, you know what?
You spent a lot of time in South Florida.
I'm going to be
Southwest Florida. But.
Yeah, but I said I'm going to be a Bucs fan. I'm going to pick the Bucs. With the quarterback's Jameis Winston? No, I'm not going to be a Bucs fan either. Fuck Jameis Winston, cocksucker. I couldn't do that. Come on.
You could no.
Couldn't.
Look, he is a fun comedy show. He's not a thing I would want to vote for.
No. So I said, all right, well, what are my other options? Katie said, well, my whole family is Eagles fans.
Do that. All right, that works.
I said, all right, here we go. Go Birds. And I'm an Eagles fan, so I bought the hat and I bought a shirt, and I'm an Eagles fan.
Is that all it takes?
And yeah, that's all it takes apparently. So I'm
sorry. I'm a lifelong fan of 4 teams, and like, look, I'm glad that you found something to root for, but I am honestly a little offended.
I didn't have any other options.
Do you call
them
we? Do you call them we? Because I swear to God, I'll kill you in your sleep tonight. I will smother you with a fucking pillow, big fucking dog or not. I'll smother you with the dog.
So I picked the Eagles, and
I said dog, by the way, not another word that starts with D and has an O and ends in G. I did not say I'd smother him with that.
But then the next year,
win the Super Bowl.
They win the fucking Super Bowl.
All right, then how about being a Dolphins fan? What
so
do you
I'm
think?
like, okay, cool. And then everybody's like, you're a bandwagon fan. I'm like, no. You don't know how this worked out. Fuck you. I'm not a bandwagon fan. I just adopted it. It just happened to work out this fucking way.
Yeah, you didn't start rooting for him in the Super Bowl. I get that. But
Carson Wentz though.
Oh, God.
For fuck's sake.
Hey,
I've been
through Ryan Tannehill and Chad Henne and fucking Jay Fiedler and Cleo Lemon and Ray Lucas and Dante Culpepper and anybody but Drew Brees, who they should have signed. Oh my fucking God! It is a wasteland. I like.
We got
if I didn't have
Jalen
Aaron
Hurst to
Rodgers,
back us up.
Yeah, how's that doing? He keeps fumbling.
He's just sitting there.
But if it weren't for Aaron Rodgers, my interest in football would have waned substantially. No.
That dude's a beast.
Honestly, I'm like the Hootie and the Blowfish song. You know,
I only want to be with you.
I'm such a baby because the Dolphins make me cry.
Okay.
It's the right song, wrong lyrics. You know, you like my dad became a Green Bay Packer fan in the 60s when he was growing up in Chicago, and all of his extended family was from Wisconsin. And the Bears sucked. The Bears still suck, by the way. That is important. An important fact for everybody to know, and that for all time, the Bears still suck, regardless of them beating the Buccaneers this past week.
They suck, though. Yeah,
they suck.
The
Bears still suck.
Who plays for the Bears now? Remember when Grossman went to the Bears?
Yeah, that was really upsetting to me. I loved Rex Grossman.
It was. I loved Grossman.
Yeah,
he was. I remember, and it was funny because when I came to Gainesville and I met you. And living with Damien and Jesse and Matt Henry, and all them fellas, and we had a blast. I remember, excuse me, that was when I first started getting into football.
Mm.
And the one thing I remember, and the one thing I always tell everybody is Gator fans, we love to always yell for the backup quarterback because Doug Johnson was the guy.
Yeah,
taking snaps when I got
Palmer.
here.
Yeah,
and everybody always put in Palmer. Fuck Doug Johnson.
Palmer was fucking great. Doug Johnson was not good.
But then as soon as Palmer got his start, everybody was like, "Fuck Palmer, put in Grossman," and it was all about Rex Grossman. And it continued.
Yeah. Well, but that one was right. I mean, a guy came in second in Heisman voting.
And then Tim Tebow happened, and nobody. Nope.
Well, Chris Leak was in the middle there, and Chris Leak, like he's sort of persona non grata now for what he's done as a high school coach. But as a player, he was great. But Jesse Palmer was a sad story because Jesse Palmer broke his collarbone in one of the years that he was a starter. He was in and out with Doug Johnson, and then he was the starter, and he broke his collarbone. And Jesse, even though he played like 7 years in the NFL as a backup, Jesse never was right after that collarbone. And I hear the collarbone is an incredibly painful break. I've bruised mine before, and it hurt like a motherfucker. I can't imagine if it actually broke.
Yeah.
Your shoulder rolls in like that. It's fucking gross. But anyway, you watch, like, Jesse be fine. He'd take a big hit, and suddenly every ball he threw would sail.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for the guy.
Well,
because
there's got to be something to that. Remember when Driscoll broke his fucking leg and was out for a year? I remember watching that kid when he got back in there. It was like, you're not the same guy.
Yeah, but Driscoll was never any good. Driscoll couldn't count to 6.
Well,
I'm not kidding. Like,
not saying he was good or not, but I mean,
that's by the way,
he ended up doing pretty well though. Was St. Louis or some shit?
No, I think he's in. fuck. I think he's in.
He's in the NFL now.
He's in the NFL. I think he's in Denver now. He was in Cincinnati for a while. Either way, look, he's going to make millions of dollars as a backup quarterback in the NFL. They make like an average of $5 million a year. More power to him. That's fucking great. Good for him. That dude could not count to 6. He could not pick up a blitz to save his fucking soul. He was dumb as a bag of fucking hammers, and it got worse every year because Will Muschamp is poison. He's fucking kryptonite to an offense.
How happy are you to see Kyle Trask in there right now?
Oh, dude, that kid's great. Like I don't know. Everyone likes an underdog story, and even though he's like 6'4" and 240 pounds, and in every way other than the fact that he was behind other people who were supposedly better than him. Which Frank's was never better. No, Frank's. I'm like it's. I like. What I don't know how that. Practice?
I don't know how that happened.
In practice, other than that, like Trask is accurate, but Frank's had a fucking laser rocket arm.
Frank's must have performed like a god in practice. That's the only thing I can imagine.
Well, Frank's is a guy who clearly panics under pressure.
Right.
That's and you can't measure that in practice. Yeah. You can try and simulate it, but you can't actually see it. And that's why Jesse made it for so many years as a backup, is he looked fucking great when he was wearing a red shirt. But, you put him in a game, he was with the Giants for like 5-6 years.
I thought Grossman would have done better.
He
was a big, tall motherfucker, and he used to just stand there in that pocket.
Well, that's what I heard was he didn't want to work. Yeah. He didn't want to do the real work. He didn't want to do the film study. He, I heard varying stories. He had a coke problem, although who the hell knows on that? It doesn't matter. What matters is that it's clear that he did not want to do the work that like a real fanatic NFL quarterback type does.
Well, now you're a football guy, so I'm going to respect your opinion on this. Am I out of line in thinking that there could have been a home somewhere for Tim Tebow in the NFL?
That's a tough question. Because Tim Tebow fits this weird athletic middle ground where he's a huge, strong, shifty guy for a guy who weighs 255 pounds. And he's got a good enough arm if he's got enough time that he can wind way the hell back up like he does. The biggest thing that damaged Tim Tebow's prospects as a pro, I think, are having to try to rebuild his throw into an NFL throw. That dude didn't ever skip balls off the ground in front of receivers in the flat the way he did in Denver and later on when he was in college. He just didn't. Like,
I understand there was a risk due to the way that he threw.
Right. Well,
but fuck that was the reason that they said he needed to modify his throw.
Well, here's the hole in that for me. Number one, Tim Tebow was never fast enough to survive long as a running quarterback in the NFL. He was never like Dante Culpepper blew out his knee and his career was over. Like the guys who can at least sort of make a go of it are small enough and shifty enough. They never take like the full hit,
like the Michael Vicks, stuff like that.
Yeah. Tebow was a guy who was always. I mean, that was what he's built on. That's what everyone loved about him. So he would fucking run your ass over.
Eric Berry, Tennessee shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit! The collision.
Yeah.
Fucking A, man.
I gotta hate Tennessee. But anyway, so if you have, here's the biggest problem with Tim Tebow, and this is why positions have prototypes, and not every, Jerry Rice is the prototypical wide receiver, but Terrell Owens was pretty great, and fucking Randy Moss, who was wiry but just as tall, was great, or Megatron was amazing. You have these giant guys, but the prototypical guy was like this 6'1", 190-pound guy who could just run a route like a piece of ribbon in the wind. But when you have a team with a quarterback like Tim Tebow, the way that you have to choose the people that block for him, the way you have to choose the people that run routes for him, the way you have to choose, he's left-handed, which is odd for a quarterback, like they're like 10% of the population, but like name 5 lefty quarterbacks ever.
So you think they really would have had to have just reformatted the entire
I do
the entire offense to really
and
suit him.
But they might have been successful. Do I believe they would? You could make a team, I think, that was 10 wins every year out of that.
Yeah,
10 wins doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah,
10 wins. I mean, yes, the Giants won 2 Super Bowls in the years they were 9-7, but by and large, you have to have that first round bye, have 12, 13 wins in order to have a chance to advance and get to the Super Bowl. And so, and believe me, as a Miami Dolphins fan, I spent the entire 90s and early 2000s in 10-6, and 10-6 is respectable. You know, it gets,
I remember going to a lot of fucking Dallas Super Bowl parties, man. Everybody loved Dallas in the fucking 90s.
Yeah, well, I mean,
everybody
they had the right
laughed at the
personality.
Bills.
It was great. It was it was great to be a Packer fan when the tide sort of turned.
Yeah,
you know, and suddenly the Packers were the best team in the NFL. You got to understand, I moved to South Florida in 1987, and you know, it was Shula and Marino was the best quarterback in the league in those years, and Montana is a potential rival for that, but Elway wasn't really quite there yet. But anyway, Marino was a big fucking deal. One of like the top 5 most marketable guys in the NFL. Big name, big spotlight on the city, and so it was easy to become a Dolphin fan because of that. And then we got season tickets, and that sort of sealed it. Being a Packer fan back then was hard. Yeah. Because the Packers, like, from the time I was born until, like, 1993, 92, sucked. They were fucking terrible. And suddenly, like, in 92, I think they traded for Favre from Atlanta, and things started to turn around. Maybe it was 91. I think he was drafted in 91.
When did Brady get drafted? When did Brady start taking?
2000.
2000?
Yeah, because he was in his second year in 2001 when they won the Super Bowl.
I know a lot of people hate on Brady. I like his story. I respect the hell out of Tom Brady, and he's the greatest winner in NFL history. He's got 6 Super Bowls in 10 tries. Fuck, man. 10 and 20 years in New England. How many times? 14 times in the Final Four of the NFL. Fuck, and
man.
I think about him because you said, hard being a fan of certain teams, and when we started hanging out, you remember Clay, our first drummer, Hollow Days. That guy was a Patriots fan forever before Tom Brady and all that shit.
Then he knew my pain as a Packer fan, except that the Patriots were never good and the Packers were good when my dad was a kid.
But I remember him being so thrilled when Tom Brady came to town and they started actually evolving as a football team and changing it up, Yeah. And so, but yeah, I mean, I've only got 2 years as a fucking fan. So.
Good luck. You picked 2 good ones compared to. The Packers have won 2 Super Bowls in my lifetime. The Heat have won 3 championships. The Gators have won 3 football titles and 2 basketball titles. And even Gator baseball has won 2 titles.
There's talks we might take it this year. What do you think?
The Miami Dolphins have been to 1 AFC championship game. We've never gotten past the second round of playoffs in any one of the 30 years that I've given a damn about the goddamn Miami Dolphins.
You think the Gators could take the national championship this year?
I think there's a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, the Trask Pitts thing is really special.
Are you tired of them Are you tired of hearing them try to come up with a name for the Kyle fucking Kyle to Kyle?
Not yet.
Kyle
not
connection.
Yet. Well, here's the
Kyle
thing.
Express.
All right, I'm getting tired now. Here's the thing: is the last 2 weeks I've watched the game, but like it's been in circumstances where I didn't get to listen, like I was just watching it, and so I didn't get to hear all the dumb shit. Like,
oh yeah, the whole time, every time after about the second or third reception.
I think second week of the football season, I retweeted something I posted about the NFL in 2018. For God's fucking sake, would you stop saying RPO? Like everything's a goddamn RPO. You know what? Literally every time the quarterback takes a step back, he actually has the option. That's the O in RPO. He has the option of running with the football. It can happen. It could totally happen.
It could.
Now, he could also throw it. So that's the P. So he could R, which is run, or he could P. He could pee. I mean, if a big defensive lineman's coming, he's probably going to pee. But he could pass. That's the P. Or O. Or not or. Oh, it's that's the option. Yeah, sorry, I lost myself in that bit. Sorry.
Let's get some predictions because we actually I just looked down here at the clock. We're at 3 hours. This is the longest show yet.
Shit.
So there'll probably be a part.
I'm
A
boring you more than
B,
anyone ever has.
or 1 and 2. There'll probably be 2 parts, but on the website anyway. So before we wrap this up, though, let's get a couple predictions. So let's talk national championship football. While we're on the college subject. Who's gonna take it? National championship.
Smart money's on Clemson. Honestly, I don't know as much about Alabama this year.
Yeah, they're kind of in an off year.
Yeah, they're always a threat. The other one that matters usually, Oklahoma, is fucking in the toilet. I don't know much about Ohio State yet, and I don't know how they're going to be judged
yet.
Yeah, I think it's another week or two before they do. But
they're saying though that they're not going to be fucking much of a candidate at all. Because
then by process of elimination, you're talking about Clemson, Georgia, Florida, and probably Alabama. Like you can virtually count on the fact that they're going to be reloaded.
Yeah. Notre Dame's up there, number 5 too.
Hasn't Notre Dame proven that they don't belong yet? Like
they're like the most storied program in football, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. But the problem is, they haven't won a national title since 1988. 1988 is 32 years ago.
Was Rudy there that year?
No, the Rudy story's from the 70s, I think.
That was a great movie.
Yeah. Yeah. His dad's there in the stands.
It's classic.
Yeah, it's
a
fucking
classic.
Great. It's great.
Cinematic classic.
But Notre Dame, every time they've even sniffed the real prime time, like the college championship or when they played against Alabama in the national championship several years ago. Man, those fucking, like, they got fucking run out of the building. Like just what's it?
So you think
they beat the brakes off them?
You think it'll be an SEC team?
I think versus Clemson.
Let's say an SEC
Clemson.
team versus Clemson.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
That sounds...
So I think you can narrow it down. And Florida always turns on whether or not they have a really special quarterback.
But if Clemson's only sticking to the ACC schedule, that's not a very strong schedule.
Yeah,
So
but they've got the pedigree at this point.
They could stand to read. Well, yeah, that's true.
They're not going to put 4 SEC teams in. They're not even going to put 3. They can put 2 in. They won't put 3 in. So you'll get probably somebody from the Big 12, like Texas or somebody. I think Texas already lost, but someone like Texas who's just going to get the hell beat out of them, or like Washington from the Pac-12 is going to get the hell beat out of them.
All right. Well, who's going to Super Bowl then?
I mean, it's almost certainly the Chiefs.
Like Mahomes going to do it again?
Well, I mean, they whipped the crap out of Baltimore, and that's the closest competition they got.
You don't think Brady and them are a threat?
No. I don't know. I think
Brady. I think blow up in their face.
No, I think it's going to be like I remember Joe Montana his last year when he was with the Chiefs. Last 2 years, I think he was with the Chiefs, but it was a fun year. They went from being a lousy team to being a pretty good team that was interesting to watch. The Bucs are going to go from, what were they, 7-9 or 5-11 or something last year? They were garbage last year.
Yeah.
They're going to win 10, 11 games. They're going to get into the playoffs. They're probably going to lose in the second round, and it'll have been a fun season and something that, Bucs fans will love. We got to have the greatest ever.
You think Brady will stick with it another year if he loses?
Yeah, that I don't know. I mean, it depends on his health. I mean, he hasn't looked super sharp, but people are also looking for that stuff. So I don't know the answer to that. I mean, the guys like him always stay 1 year longer than they should. Always. About the only guy who ever did it right was Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was still great in his last season. He wasn't a superstar anymore, but he was still great, and he scored 50 in his last game, and they had fun, and it was, a good, rewarding season, even though it wasn't a championship season. And there are not many guys that go out like that. You know, you got the John Elway or the Peyton Manning that you'd love to be like that, but most guys go out quiet. Joe Namath was a fucking L.A. Ram, I think, after the Jets. Johnny Unitas went to where did Johnny Unitas go? Maybe he's the one who was a Ram, and I don't remember. Bottom line, like all the guys you think of as associated with one team, Namath and the Jets, Johnny Unitas and the Colts, Montana and the 49ers, all ended up somewhere else.
I've never really thought about that. That's interesting.
I mean, that was like Marino in his last year. Minnesota wanted him.
Yeah,
Minnesota wanted him. They wanted to upgrade from Randall Cunningham. And he thought about it. He's like, I think it's important that I spent 17 years with one team. And I'm going to be done. And look, he wasn't in the best physical shape. He might. With Randy Moss and Chris Carter and Jake Reed, he probably could have been something. And Robert Smith in the backfield, he probably could have been something pretty fucking intense. But it mattered to him that he mattered to the community. And, that's why Dwayne Wade came back. It's why, guys, re-sign with the team that they're most known with, even if it's a ceremonial one-day thing, is to sort of cement, this is where I really belong. It's where my heart is, and it's cool when you can actually get that. But so many guys just want to hang on, that, and so they get cut and they go and try and hang on somewhere else. And like Adrian Peterson should be done right now, right? But he's on his third or fourth team after the Vikings. Guys are just gonna go if they love it. They don't have to be the best. They just have to have the chance, and let them. I always felt sad, but also sort of felt like it wasn't totally fair to feel sad for those guys because they're still getting paid to do a fucking game that they love to play.
Yeah.
And they love the work and everything else that's in it, and that's enough, right? That somebody else is happy doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Last question.
Briefs. I'm lying.
Who's
it's neither.
Who's going to be our president next year?
Well, see, I could be a pain in the ass and say Donald Trump, because regardless of whatever else happens, he will be president until January 20th or through January 20th.
Who's carrying us through the next 4?
Oh, see, that's a different question than who's going to be the next president.
Isn't it though?
I don't know.
Without all the craziness that could be, if we're talking Biden, Trump, who do you think takes it?
I'm kind of leaning towards Biden right now, but it's like razor thin.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that there's this fantasy out there about not giving up, not accepting power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
accepting a transfer of power. I think that's
total bullshit.
I think it's total bullshit. And
once you're not the president, they're gonna remove you.
Yeah,
Like
all
the Secret Service
people
is beholden to the president of the United States. Once if Joe Biden wins it and is sworn in as president, guess what's going to happen to the previous guy? You're coming out. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. There's no way there. Like all of that's fantasy, and all of it's alarmist crap, bullshit. And it's to motivate people. But what's interesting, there was a thing that came out in USA Today a couple months ago about this group of think tank people, a bunch of different academics, nerds, fucking journalists, political journalists, all this stuff. Got together and decided to do Model UN, except for different outcomes, potential outcomes of the election. And they tested close electoral win by Biden, wide popular vote, close, narrow Biden electoral win, huge popular vote. It's 8 different scenarios.
Right.
Excuse me. And they went through all of these scenarios, and what they found is playing things out logically in the roles that they're assigned and so on. The thing that happened the most in those simulations was the Democrats refusing to accept the results of an election, not Republicans.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting because...
Did you see the Ken Bone guy?
Yeah.
Did you see what he posted on his fucking Twitter?
Well, I saw that he's voting for Joe Jorgensen.
Right.
I didn't see the rest.
So he posted that he was voting for Joe Jorgensen, and then later posted all day long, Trump fans have been awesome to me, have been very nice to me, while Biden fans have been doing nothing but shitting on me. All because I said I was voting for Joe Jorgensen. You know, like, I'm not saying there's scumbags all over the place. But I am tired of the just constant fucking slander that people are throwing around. Like, if you're remotely right wing, people think you're just they think you're racist. There's a multitude of shit.
I don't know. Was that a lawn jockey I saw out front?
A lawn jockey? I don't think so. But that's
just
the
a
thing,
fancifully carved piece of wood.
It's
does not meant to represent anybody here.
But that's such a fucking issue that we have. Like,
no, there are people ready to throw bombs, like,
yes,
at any moment.
If they think you at all support Donald Trump,
well,
you're a piece of shit. That's just the way it is. There's no arguing, and it sort of puts people into a fucking corner that it's very hard to get yourself out of.
That's why the polling. I don't trust the polling very much because I think I don't trust people to self-report.
But that's why when I said earlier, when they turn around and they said, "Well, what do you think your neighbor's voting?"
Right.
And the number was fucking huge. It was double.
Right. And the thing is, that the whole tenor of the rhetoric on this stuff, is so overheated.
Yeah.
And it precludes the possibility of reasonable conversation.
It does.
When you go right to 11, that's it.
Yep.
And I just wish that we could figure out a way to score our points without bruising each other.
Yeah.
And I do my best in my own life to try and be kind when I disagree, and I don't always succeed. There are times when I'm snarky or when I'm exasperated and tired of it. But
I just try to be truthful. I just try to be honest and truthful and to the best of my ability.
I try to stay on topic, and I try to stay. I try to navigate from point to point in a way that is building. Jesus, I'm popular tonight. Shut up, dude. I feel like it's important to just, when you construct an argument, give people a path to follow. Tell them the story. Tell them the narrative of how you got to where you're going, and be honest. Be honest when you see a hole in your own path.
Yep.
I acknowledge this, but this is what I interpret from it anyway, or whatever the case is. You have to approach the conversation with integrity, with a willingness to walk away from it being the one who's changed.
Yep.
And if you can't do that, then all you're doing is sparring and generating ill will and failing people. And I'm 100% certain I've been guilty of this myself.
Oh yeah.
There's no question. There's no question in that, because not that anyone I know is ever going to listen to this, but if they were going to listen to it, I'm sure they can all think of a time when I was stuck on something and I didn't let it go and I was an asshole. We've
all been there.
That is human frailty. Write it down, because we're all at some point going to sort of falter.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to step on a landmine of our own making because we are stupid and thoughtless and not forward thinking enough, and we all got to be cool with it. We all got to own it.
We all got to own it. That's just it.
So
this has been some delicious whiskey that we've been drinking.
Yeah.
I am I'm quite enjoying the vibe right this moment. But we're I don't even fucking know. We're like 3.5 hours in. It is what it is. I don't give a goddamn. Chris, you want to say anything good to the people on your way out here?
Pizza.
Pizza.
Pizza's good. I mean, is there something good? No, look, this is always fun. Yeah. I love you, buddy. I'm glad I was able to come here and do this in person. Absolutely. I missed you. And everybody just try and be good to each other. Just like, for real, be good to each other. Like, give each other the benefit of the doubt. Give each other a break. Remember that everybody's just a person.
If there was one thing from 2020 that I really have enjoyed, it's the fact that there's a new Bill and Ted movie. Because the tagline, be excellent to each other, that they always say is just, that's what we need. Mm-hmm. We just got to be good to each other, man. And we'll get through it, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get through it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's another episode of the Porchville Podcast. Get over there to porchvillepod.com, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Send us an email at porchmail@porchvillepod.com, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure you tell your friends, and we'll see you next time. Take care of that mental health. We love you. Bye-bye.